So I want us to actually start using this hashtag. I'll be dropping the hashtag. What you learned from this event today, I want us to use this hashtag. Just check it in the chat box. So let's mute ourselves. So please, Tiwa, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Okay, so we can actually use a CPUIG 2022 and hashtag so on this note, I really want to welcome you all once again to day 2, and it's going to be another amazing time like this. So thank you once again. I'll be sharing my screen right now to invite our first speaker, and I'll do the honors of please give me a while I fix this. Okay. All right. So if you can see my screen, please let me know. If you can see my screen, please do let me know. All right. So I'll be introducing our first speaker in person of Imoleayo Fashagba. He's a geoscientist and also a data scientist. And Imoleayo is a geoscientist with a BTech in applied geophysics from the University of Technology, Akure, and holds a master's degree in petroleum geoscience from IFP School, France. During his studies and internship with major energy industries, he gained experience in subsurface evaluation for energy exploration and low carbon technology. He enjoys integrating his data science knowledge with geoscience and has completed related to geoscience data visualization, classification, and prediction. More to this, Imoleayo specializes in creating PowerPoint slides. He can develop notes to slide coupled with visual enhancement slide. Please do me the honors to invite Imoleayo Fashagba. Thank you very much. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just turn on my video. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you, sir.
All right, great. So thank you for the introduction, and I'm glad to be here. Good morning to everyone, or whatever what the time zone it is. My greetings to everyone, and it's a great delight to be here and to share from my own knowledge what I can share to students, and I'm always glad to share to everyone. So what I will be doing today, as I've been told, is to just give some key ideas on how to make some interesting PowerPoint slides. And this is what I'm going to share today. So I'll proceed to sharing my screen first, just to. Okay, please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So I'll just put this on slideshow before I. Okay. So what I'm going to do today is, at first, my plan, the way I thought about it is to show something I've done, that is preparing for this webinar. I had to think about what to present, and I just wanted to do something talking about the SDGs, and in this case, focusing on climate action, which is something as geoscientists we are also interested about. And while I do this, I'm also going to show what kind of concepts I've put in behind the slides. So it's not a presentation, it's just showing ideas of how I'm going to be able to relate my contents. So my keynotes here is just going to cover most of the things that I'm going to say or what you should expect throughout the presentation. And keynotes is like, when I try to make slides, personally, I like to first keep it simple and clean. Simple in the sense that I don't want to make it too complex for the eyes, because as a person who is preparing the slides, you have to also think about, the audience too. You have to make it easier for them. And clean in the sense that can you hear me? I think there's
We can hear you.
okay, add some background noise. Okay. And clean, we're talking about, start to think about the font size, the kind of fonts you're using, which is appealing to the eyes. So you want to also make it easier for people to be able to visualize this. So like I said, keep it simple and clean. You think about your audience, and the part of the audience is where, for example, you might want to think about something called signposting. It's something natural you do during presentation, but it's can also be useful if you somehow integrate some elements of signposting into your slides that can help you as you proceed during the presentation. And then the visuals has to do with what kind of images you're bringing in that could go along with your theme. And your theme is basically the idea of you understanding the color blend of what you want to discuss. So maybe, for example, in this case, I'm using SDGs and I've decided to use the color blend of blue just to maintain consistency and fairness. Or it could even be blue or some other colors, but there have to be some sort of gradation between the colors. And that way it has to be appealing to the eyes and not just, you want to avoid using very sharp colors that could just, make people distracted. Rather, you want to use some colors that are softer for the eyes to view. And sections is some other thing you might find interesting is structuring your slides. So when you are building your slides or before you start building, you want to think about the approach you will take. So one good advantage with PowerPoint is you can actually break um, your slides into your slides which you have on your thumbnails. You can actually break all of them down into sections, and that way you can think of other interesting things to do with the sections. And mostly the resources that I've used for all what I'm showing here, I've gotten free images from like on Splash, where I got this image, or this most of the images you see here. And some other concept I will also show is that other times it's not always, you don't always have to build from scratch also, because depending on the time you would have. Another thing you can do is you can go to open source websites like USEC, which they have some free copies, and Go Slides, Google Canvas. You can even on PowerPoint, so you can see some creative ideas that people have and then tweak it to make it more interesting for your work, like trying to see how it fits into the concept of what you want to do. And of course, by the end of it all, when you use people's idea, at the end of your slides, you have a credit session just to say, okay, you have to give credits to say the way you pick up your slides, because these are people who have actually done that and you're building from their own ideas. And the font here is just an example of a website where I also download fancy font style, which I like. And there are also different websites that you can download the font styles, but font size also matters. Like that's where I was talking about the cleanliness of your slides, what kind of fonts you want to use, how big they should be. And lastly, always know that when you're making the presentation and you first start by, after the introduction, talking about yourself, you want to start by saying, say what you want to say, of course, which is the outline parts, or maybe a kind of like intro, soft intro into your work, then say it. say what you told them you wanted to say. That is saying it, show the content, show the results, and then say it again. Say it again in the sense that you say it at the end of your presentation, the summary, the conclusion. You want to highlight the key points so that people can get to it. So once you have all these concepts, you start to integrate all of them to build creative slides. Okay, so I'll just start with, so an overview. In this overview is where I've made like a summary of most of the things I will talk about. But then I'll talk more about how I made this slide after, which is based on using sessions. But proceeding to, I'll just proceed, like do a quick walkthrough of the slides, and then as time permits, depending on all the time I have, I'll show the ideas that I've used behind them just to create some good things. So these are my intro slides. One thing is, excuse me, I try to keep it simple and clear. The assumption here is I'm going to be talking on SDGs 13 PowerPoint slides, and I'm saying this is my title, just clear for people to see. I've also used a blend of color such that it's appealing to the eyes, but mainly this color is inspired by the fact that my team itself is sustainable development goals, and the dominant color there is blue. So I want a color that merges with the theme or the goal of what I'm trying to discuss. And in that case, I also have the climate action, which I got this image from online, but I did some other tweak just to have this. And I'll come back to all the details all the minor details or things I did here. So just that, I'll go out from here. Then here's the outline. The point I'm trying to make here with this outline, or the idea behind this slide, is that sometimes you want to get creative, and instead of just listing outline, but you want to capture the attention of your audience. So for example, in the background, I have some things that has to do with industries that are, okay, we can see some fumes or some sort of pollution in quotes that you might want to put it as. And then the thing we are talking about, SDGs, climate action, carbon emission. So it's about just the kind of approach you might want to take, have a background slide, find a way to blur out a bit so as to just not to make the background too sharp, because that's not entirely what you want to sell. But in sort of way, you just want people to have a feel of what you're discussing in the background of this slide. And as well, you see the way I've been able to arrange the outline, that is saying introduction, carbon emission, facts and figures, score for action, and conclusion. So this way, it's easier for people to see and follow through. And once you start having slides that are neat like this and easier for people to see, it doesn't really strain their head to try to understand you and as well look at your slides at the same time. Then, so for example, one of the things I've done here is, if you look at the upper part of this slide, I've done some arrows, kind of like arrows, and the subtitle for each of the slide. For example, this is introduction. So I've tried to make this in a concept whereby I have more blue, indicating this is the slide I am presently on. And then these other ones are a bit blurred out. And where this can be interesting is the signposting. So you might think of your presentation as when you're starting your presentation.
Wow.
I'm hearing the echo.
Failed to detect my computer.
It's echoing over here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you, sir. I'm working on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, okay, I'll talk more on this signposting, but then, for example, you can also think of other creative ideas. Maybe there are instances whereby you don't just want to put all the information on your slides. You want to use animations, but then you don't want to overuse animations, but you want to keep it in a moderate level. But you can bring them in gradually, trying to draw attention as you proceed in your slide. So for example, I could start with the introduction and I want to start telling you things about the SDGs. And I could say maybe a simple fact about the SDGs from this introduction, just by looking at this image. And then after that, I proceed to say, okay, you know, the SDGs, all actually, it's started from the Millennium Development Goals, September 2020. Then it proceeded in September 2015, the SDGs was adopted, which is the more universal and broader scope of the MDGs. Afterwards, in 2030, okay, we hope and seek that we have some 45% drop of CO2 emission compared to all emissions that we've been having in previous years. And we want to have a net zero by 2050. So the concept here is I've tried to use some fancy fonts, keeping it clean and interesting for the eyes, rather than just having a slide introduction where I would just list them. It's more interesting when you have more something that speaks like an infographics or info to what you're saying. And this really aids the people that are listening to your presentation. So the signposting, so you can think about what happens next. I say, moving on to carbon emission, it's kind of like, you see the way it transits from introduction to emission. Or in another case, if you're online, you're working online, or maybe you're presenting, I'm doing a webinar like this, and maybe I have too many content, I quickly want to move on to action. I can click on action. Okay, for example, I want to move to my conclusion. I can click on conclusion. It moves on there. I go back to my introduction, so I can show all this. So the emission, the concept I just wanted to bring out in this slide is sometimes you can try to create your own pie chart, which is something like this that I try to do. And as well, having other sources of information that I can get online. So you want to also try to minimize when you are presenting data or information, the data has to be of, the quality of the image has to be good so that people can see and understand it. As well, you want to make distinction between some data, maybe somehow putting a background color just to distinct one from the other so that people can understand that there are two different data. And this is just the concept I try to use here. Afterwards, you see this part that says facts and figures, and you see some quite something animation. So sometimes to take time to do all this animation would actually be time demanding, and you might not have all that time. So this is an example of whereby I had to pick from a slide and just edit what the slide was about. That is picking, I picked from USEC and then did some changes to this just to suit what I wanted to say. And yes, action also. The concept I just wanted to illustrate here is you can also add in charts directly from PowerPoint into your work. As well, you can have images that could just keep rotating as you want, or maybe having, you know, some sort of, rather than just listing again, okay, let's work on renewables, carbon storage, recycle, or preach it, you can put an image behind it, because image goes a long way to speak more stories about what you want to say. And this is just the concept here. And finally, the conclusion, like I said, you can have maybe like an image or something just to remind people of the whole concept of what you're saying. And yeah, I've tried to make something in the background here where I said there is no planet B. I got this image also online from on Splash, and somehow people get the whole concept at the end of the day through this visual and visual display. And also you have to remind them, like I said, make a summary of what you've talked about throughout your presentation and do it, you can list them. So in your presentations, or maybe when you're presenting schoolwork or thesis, you might have to put more words than this, but never be tempted to fill your slides with words. It's PowerPoint, so you just want to show the key points and you speak more to it. You draw attention to yourself, and when you want to describe something, you draw attention to the slide. Okay, so, and that's pretty much everything. So I'll start from, so I'm assuming, okay, I'll start from this slide 3, and let's just walk through how I created some of this. I'll create a new, a new blank presentation. Excuse me. I'll create a new blank presentation. Okay, so let's take this out. I'm assuming that we already know how to use PowerPoint to some extent, to some basic extent. And what I'm just doing is showing us tricks to make some good visual enhancement for slides. So basically, here is my ribbon where I have some things I can use to effect changes in my slide window. And let's say I want to replicate what I have here, and I'll just give the concept behind what I've done. So I had this other PPT where I dump images that I collect online. And for example, I have some ideas in my head and I'm thinking, okay, how can I make my front presentation, my cover, my title page rather. So one of the things, like if you notice over here, I like to display, if I go to view, I like to display my ruler, grid lines and guide just to allow me to align my objects as well as my text box so that they are aligned together. You don't want your box, your text flying around, not really aligned with one another. And this is one of the things that can help you for that. So what I've done in this case, I'll try to be fast about it, is to take this image. For example, I got this image online. So I copied it and I can paste. So I have it anywhere here. You notice that at times, okay, by the way, I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint 365. And so maybe there might be some features I don't know that you might not have, but depending, this is PowerPoint 365. So when I put this first, PowerPoint even suggests design ideas for me. Maybe I might find this interesting, or it could be this, but let's say I want my own design. In this case, I'm thinking about what to do, and I decide to just create a box. I go to insert shape. Over here, I create a box, let's say any box, and I'm thinking about, okay, how do I make this color? Okay, I thought about it, and then one of the things you can do, you can right click, fill, then eyedropper, sort of like copying a color from an already defined color template. Let's say I want to take this color. I can take this color. I can also remove outline. I don't want outline. And if I right click, I can format shape under fill, add some bit of transparency to it. You see, add a bit of transparency. And what I've done also, you can duplicate, Control D, it just duplicates for you. Control D helps you to duplicate. And then one thing I did was, I think on the final one, so Control D again, let's say for example, and send the final one to back. I made an eyedropper again, and I picked this color. So that way there is some, and maybe I can add a little bit of transparency to it.
Yeah, good. Hello, sir.
Yeah, Monsieur.
Okay, so if you have any question along the way, please just drop a question in the chat box while he's doing that, if you don't get to understand what he's doing currently.
Okay, all right.
You.
I'll open the chat box, so I'll be seeing it. All right. Okay, so I might not be able to replicate everything totally on time. So sometimes I'll just, for example, I can do this fill eyedropper. I take the color that I've, if I can't take this color that I've used here, sometimes what I do is I can just do Control Shift S. Sometimes I just take a quick screen grab, Control Shift S. I paste it in the what I want to do, and I know this is the color I want to grab. Then I come here, I right click on the image which I want to fill the color, say eyedropper, and I do this. So it gets the color, I send to back, and can take this off. Yep. And so just playing around with it. So for this, you would see one of the things I've done is I have this climate action. And this is what I have. Let's say this is what I want to show. But then I feel like, okay, the green is a little bit off to my, excuse me, to the theme of the color I'm using. So I just thought about, okay, why not make a situation whereby I can just remove the background color. I go to click on this image, picture format, color, and you can say set transparent color. You click on this box and then it sets a transparent color. But then it's already white. And what I tried to do was, for example, I made a duplicate of this other box. That's using Ctrl D. I'll just take this off. And I'll do this, send to back. And this is what I actually did here in this concept here, changing an original image. I'll take this off. Let's just take this off. So now you notice I still have some white spots around it because of the way it's made it transparent. So sometimes you can just have, get over this by going to picture format, you crop. So the crop, that way I take out the edges that are, yeah, I take out the edges. So this is what it looks like now. And another thing is, most times when I deal with images, I don't like to stretch from the side because you distort the image itself, you distort the actual size of the image. So if I do this, it's kind of distorted. So I prefer adjusting from the corner, you can see, yeah, or like the junction. That way you maintain the same resolution of the image. So that was the main idea behind this first slide, trying to keep it okay. And then for the outline, what I did was, so we can imagine I put in a new slide, I take everything out, and then I found an image online. So I want to set a background color. I go to picture, insert from file, So in my file, I already have some images. For example, I could put this one, maybe I change it to this background color. For example, I'm just using another example. And I think, okay, maybe this one looks okay for me. Then, although it's too sharp and it's not what I want to really sell, but I just want to have it in the background, then what I can just come in again, insert come to my insert pane here, insert a shape, a box, and okay, this is where my grid lines become useful. And I just want to do something that covers up to this extent. But then it's coming out as blue. And mainly these colors are because of if I go to home, and you see, it's because of the theme colors that we have. But you can actually change these theme colors, but I don't know if I would have enough time to show that. But for the work I wanted to do, these theme colors were fine. But depending on other work you might be doing, you might want to define other colors that are different from what you have here. So there's a way you can create your own custom colors. But let's say I want to continue with what I'm doing here. I would then have this image. So what I did was home. I tried to select not so dark, maybe something like this. Remove the outline. Then right click, format shape. On the format shape, this is where I set my transparency. So I put in a little bit of transparency to it. Let's say I want to use 54, okay? And then to insert text, I can bring in my text, put a text here, and I say outline. But I want a different font type. Yeah, I've used a font type of Congenial Black, and I will search for it in my home. When you check the home in the ribbon, you see the font, theme font. And then if I go to C, yes, Congenial Black. And then I can expand this, right? Change this to white. And what I've just done for this ones is, if I come to insert, I see some shapes here. I think this shape is interesting. I try to put it this way, make duplicates of it, but I've used the grid lines to align them. So I wouldn't exactly replicate the same thing. I'm just showing the idea of what I've done. Change this to white under the shape field, still under shape format. So for each shape, you can format the shape as you want. Shape format, I can remove the outline. And if I want to create representation of what the shape I have, the properties onto another one, you go to your home, you see this format painter, click on it once. But if you want to do it multiple times, you double click on it and you can use it for multiple formats. And that way it's done. So the last one, I can make a duplicate of this, bring it here, bring to front, change the color, home, I change the font to black. And so yeah, I've used Congenial semi-bold. And let's say I can try to format Painter all the way from this slide. Do it again. To this slide. And you can enlarge it. So this is pretty much the idea. I mean, you can continue with every other thing here. The idea. So if I go to the third slide, so what I've done is I try to think about signposting. I want to make it easier for myself and for the people. So I want people to know at each point where I am. And even when I'm moving on to another side, I could use signposting languages like moving on to emission. Okay, talking about fact and figures. Now it's action, or all said and done, we move on to the conclusion. Those are like signposting, and people see the transition. This is just an example. It's not necessary you have them always on top. It can be at the base, it can be at the sides, just how creative you want to be. But I'm just showing some simplified instances of this. So in this case, I'll just show what I've done quickly. I created a new slide. I take this off. And it's still the idea. I just copied what I had before from these slides. Let's say this is what I have. I copied this. I'll just use this one as example, paste. And I changed the color field to blue. Let's just say this color. And I want to do this transition, but I don't really like how it is. I want it to be like an arrow, even at the base of this. So I can adjust this image, bring it all the way here. Use my shift button. Okay, I'll show something first. Select this first, then select this. Then under your shape format, and the shape format pane here, you then see in the ribbon you have your merge shapes. Merge shapes, there are a lot of interesting things you can do, like union, enlargement. But yeah, I just want to do maybe subtract or intercept. For example, this, say that again. So the subtract is just like still like a mathematical way. I'm selecting this first, saying this subtract this away from it. So it's going to take out that part wherever all that existed. And that's how I created this bottom arrowhead. Yeah. And because of time, I'm watching my time, so I'm behind. So that's just an example. Afterwards, you can align them together. So you can try to set the colors, like make them blow out this way. And what I've done here is also to, let's say I bring in this text called outline. I bring in this text called outline and we make it white. But I want to make it such that I make a duplicate of another slide, of this slide. And this next slide is supposed to be, okay, this slide is my outline. And the next slide, let's say it takes me to intro. Let's just do that, for example. So what I've done is such that, what I've done here is I can actually click on this box, this text box, right click and use the term link. So with link, when you click on link, you see places in this document. You can link to different part. I'm doing place in this document, the document I'm working in. So I want to link it to slide 4, which is this one. Okay. So when you hover your cursor around it, you see it takes you, you say control click to follow. If I do that, it takes me there to slide 4. Let me remove this so you know that, okay, so you know it's different slide. So I do that again, takes me to slide 4. If I put it on presentation mode, the interesting thing is I can just click on intro. It takes me to slide 4. And what I've done, while you have the smooth transition from these slides. So for example, I clicked on this, it moves so sharply. But in the ones I showed before, I had smooth transition because I've used an animation called morph. If you come here, sorry, transition called morph. So with morph, it kind of gives sort of that smooth feel transition for similar objects. What it tries to do is understand objects that are similar, and it tries to transit between those objects. So I put in the morph again. So if I put this on slide and I do this, so you see, so rather than just having a sharp change, you can have a transition. And what I did here was just being creative. So you can actually think of ways to bring in other elements. Like I brought in a cycle. This is also the original SDGs image is this one, but I applied the same concept which I had used for this climate action to edit this image to this color. And what is here is, the good thing is the slide is not too wordy. People can follow the timeline rather than just having a bullet point of timeline. They can see the transition and it tells the story better. On slide 6, what I've done here is so what I wanted to show you is, I'll use this for example. You can have your own, if you go to Home, Insert rather, Smart Arts. Under Smart Arts, you can have a Smart Art where you insert maybe, just please tell me when the time is up because I think I'm over the time now.
No, you can continue, sir. You can actually
Okay.
continue. Don't worry, sir.
So this is like a Smart Art, but the whole idea is you can change this, everything here. Like, for example, I click on one of these, I zoom in, I click on this one, I do Control C, Control V, click on it, Control C, Control V. I'm adding more elements to it. And I can change the color on the change colors. So most times when you're using your color theme, while you are trying to maintain the same color, what you can try to do is you can go from a much alter color to maybe to a dull color. You know, you want to have a transition in that color just to show the elements are different. But for example, if I start using colors like this, it might be so distracting to the eyes, and maybe, you know, when you have too many colors on your slide, then you might get people, you know, just tune off from looking at it. So that's why I just prefer using, sometimes it could be from a shade from gray, slightly increasing from gray to, from a darker gray to lighter gray, then to lighter blue, then to a deeper blue. So you maintain a very good shade of color. And yep, so what I've done is, you can adjust this. I can click on one of them. I click, for example, this, and I can, it won't work. Okay, it works now. Yeah. So this, yep, you can, that was the idea of what I was doing here. I just tried to adjust the edges, maybe a relative proportion of the pie chart I just want to show. But once you're done adjusting, you can then quickly say, okay, you want to maybe convert to shape. It's usually much better to work in shapes. It gives you the flexibility to do much more. So, oops, then I've done something. I'll just take this out. Let's say I try this again. Convert to shape. If I just said something over one, so I'll just take this out. I'll just bring in the smart art again. Insert. And then convert to shape. Let's say I just want to work with this three. So I converted to shape already, and you can still adjust it if you want. But then the other thing I did to have this that I have here was I just took the O shape, then under, so if you have a look at this parts of this configuration pane where you can really work in and tweak your shapes. I right-clicked on this format shape, under here shadow, shadows, globe. So I did some kind of rotation 3D rotation to this. Let's say I did something like this. And I added depth to it, depth in the sense that I wanted it to be obvious that, okay, there is some form of, I change this color, so I make it black. I want to give it that appearance of the 3D image with some, you have your X, Y, and Z. So that vertical exaggeration of it is what I try to do with depth. So okay, someone did. All right, so all right. Okay, so that's what I did for this part. And so for this one, I'll just show an example. This is the part where I talked about taking ideas. So I have this slide. So I got this template. It's the part where you can go online, download templates on Go Slide, USEC. I got this one from USEC. So it's a project management tool. And you can see the templates they have. They have interesting stuff they've designed. And theirs is like, it takes a lot of time to put all this together when you try to make a blend of the colors. But then I feel like, oh, this one kind of speaks the message I want to. It makes sense for me to use this for what I want to do. But not everything here. Okay, 5 minutes more. Thank you. Okay, so not everything here is what I want to use. What I've just done is I just copied and paste a new slide. I can take this off. Copy this, Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. So I copied and paste and just Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V using destination theme in the sense that it allows this image now to take on my theme, the theme I am using within my slide pack. And remember, the theme is, if you come to your, maybe click on any image, try to fill, you see your theme colors, which are these ones here. You can always create a custom one. So that's what PowerPoint tried to do at best, try to make this. So all the things I did was, when you compare what I have here, when you compare what I have here to what is here, what I just did was I made these ones white because I didn't want the yellow. I could just click on the box and shape fill to white. I do the same for the other ones. And I made some other changes. For example, you see the numbers changed 1 to 5. And this is where playing around with the, so when you click on this, for example, you go to animation, you click on animation pane. You see all the animations that this has. So what I've tried to do is I rearrange the animations based on the order I wanted. So for example, if I click on one of the objects in this animation, by the way, if you're working with animation, a good way you can try to rename your boxes so that it's easier for you to use them in the future. You can, but then let's say if I click on this, I see the ones, it's highlighted in this pale orange color. So I know the ones I want to select. I can select these ones, for example, and then I can move all of them down. That's me changing the order. That's the whole concept I did here. And other things I did was also putting some delays, like, okay, you can add delays, you can add duration with previous, you can play around with this and see what they look like. And yeah, I just wanted to show that you can bring in charts. If you go to your home, you go to insert charts. For example, I want to put in this let me, I just don't want to make this messy. I'll take this off. Insert charts. Once I do this, it pops up with an Excel just beneath it. So I can enter the data I want, and then I see the way it displays. And you can also select other fancy type of display you want, or you can also try to modify the color theme. That's the idea there. And so also here is, rather than just listing renewables and talking about, okay, renewables will help us to do this, this and that, carbon storage, I can just put image and the keyword and I speak to the slide. I say, okay, renewables, because with renewables, we're able to start to find a way to reduce carbon emissions that allows us to continue, using fossil fuel while at the same time trying to work towards reducing emission. You speak more to it. So rather than me having all those words on my slide, I'm speaking and people are listening to what I say. And the last one is actually played around with objects too, but because of time, what I just did here basically was still objects. I just brought in if I come here, insert, I brought in a shape, triangle. I'll just do this very simple one. I don't want to go as far as what I did here. And if you put in this, you can right click, you can say format shape, insert picture, and your most recent picture will be there. So every other thing I did here was just aesthetics, like trying to beautify it. Like for example, what you see here is just a smaller box of a smaller triangle, which is in white. I can rotate it, put it at the base, so it makes it looks like a V. Depending on how you want to do it. And sometimes you can play around with merge, put in this. I can do this, for example, and I say, okay, these two, shift, double select both of them, go to shape format, and I can say I want to combine, fragment, subtract, union, whatever. So it was playing around those things that I was able to get what I did here. And that's all for the presentation. The last one, okay. If you notice, I have, okay, that's okay.
Do you still have anything? You can continue if you have anything to say.
I just wanted to state that I added session, so you can right click. So for example, you look at this, my PowerPoint, I've put in default sessions, right click. You can right click and add a session. Maybe I want to put it here. I click on where I want to put it, add session. When you add a session, you put a name to it. Maybe I put you. So that's a session. So at the end of the day, how I created this part was I came down to that's insert. Insert, yes, zoom. So you need to click on this also. Insert zoom pops up, summary zoom. And on summary zoom, PowerPoint tries to highlight all the key sections that I have. And then I can just say insert, okay, so I'll just do it. So you see it changes. So because I've made some changes, I just use this as an example. You see all the key, you can unselect some of them that you don't want it to show. So this one can be good when you're more like in a meeting, you don't want to go through all the slides, but you're delivering your key highlights and you just want to say, okay, I worked on this, worked on this, worked on this, worked on this. And someone says, oh, could you tell us more about this? You say like, oh, sure, I can tell you more. So when you have it on show like this, you can click on it, it goes into it. So once it's done transiting through the whole entire session, it then takes you back. I'll just quickly go to conclusion. Then it takes you back to it, but there are more edits you can do. Okay. Zoom. When you want to do that to take you back, you have to click on return to Zoom, Zoom transition. So when you have that return to Zoom, once it finishes the section, it brings you back to this Zoom panel. So that's the whole idea behind it. And this one was also created using a smart image. So that's all. Thank you for listening. And yeah, that's everything I will share.
Wow. Please, let's give kind of an applause in the chat box. It's not easy. I must tell you, I learned a lot. But me, I have some questions. Some questions. Okay, my first question is, you said you're using Microsoft 365.
Yes.
Okay, my question now is, for those that are not using Microsoft 365, probably the normal Microsoft 2016 or 18. Can this also work, these animations and can it also work on it too?
Yes, it can. I believe most of them can work. The only difference you might have is, for example, I don't know, like, with my, maybe you might not have some animations there. Like, I don't know if morph is in other type of Microsoft, but basically it's the same thing. The only thing is they just change some elements and access to some other software. It's just like a paid subscription, like some you're having premium offer, or something like this. Yes.
Okay. So, and secondly, before I give the chance to people there to in the chat box, are there resources where we can also learn how to do this very well? Are there resources?
Yeah, so where I put here is one of the things that have helped me is I get images from Unsplash. I can show you what it looks like. For example, the images I got here. So the good thing with Unsplash is they are free source. There are some that is paid, you paid for it, but they are free source, and you can also contribute to it. When you go on outing, maybe you go to nice places in Nigeria, Olumorok or Idore East, you take nice pictures, you post it also, and other people can use your images for creating creative ideas. So yeah, I get images, and you see the people that actually posted the image, and you can download it. And USEC is a website. Go Slides is made. It's by Google itself. Go Slides. Slides Go rather. I misspelled that. So it's so it should be Slides Go. This one. Okay. Slides Go, not Go Slides. Pardon my mistake. So you see here the animations they've created already, right? It's cool. You can use them. And another one I like is there's also Genial, create interactive content. There's Canvas. Like the whole idea is the more you see, the more it's just like geology also, the more you see rocks, the more you go on feed, the more you know. So the more you see designs, the more ideas pop up in you how to create your own design, and also how to tweak designs too. So these are just pretty much most of them.
Okay. So this is a chance where if you have any questions, you feel free to ask. So yeah, so that I just raise up your hand so that I can unmute you, and feel free to ask. Okay, we have Sonny Amodu. Let me ask him to unmute. All right, you have the ground now. You can actually talk. All right, Sonny Muhammadu Adewale, you've been unmuted, so you can speak now.
But the session is recorded, right? Okay.
Yeah, yes, it's recorded.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, yeah. Good afternoon. I can hear you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm a bit too late. So I just what I just saw now is just like from the Microsoft Word, the presentation that you present to us. Yeah, I saw that the Microsoft Word you use is not basically the 2013 or 2016. So I'm just curious, how can you use the Microsoft or the name of the Microsoft or the use apart from the 2010 to 2016 we know? So I don't know the one you use. And then
So, okay, you can continue.
no, I'm done. You can just give me, so I will just pick what I want to pick from what you are saying. What do you want to say?
Okay, so my version is 2019, if I remember clearly. Yeah, and so why I'm using 365 is because I'm at advantage with my institution. My institution here, they registered us with we have a Microsoft account, and it's for life. It's like I'm using it for life because the school will always contact me with it. I become an alumni after graduation, you know, things like this. So I'm always using it. So because of that access I have, is why I have access to 365, which is why I'm using it. So I'm not paying for it. I just downloaded it, signed in with my school email, which is what is here. This is my school email. So I think I'm not really sure, but I know that I also had Microsoft Professional. I was using it before this one, and I could do most of the things I was doing on Microsoft Professional. But the thing with Microsoft is, you know, with every software that you have, there is improvement with every new edition.
Yeah.
They change something about it. Like now there's Windows 12, right? Or Windows 11 rather. So, and it's quite different. So you can see how the interface is with Windows 11. But even with Windows 10, you can still pretty much do most of the things Windows 11 will do. It's just the interface that is different. And that's the same thing here. You just find out that it's just a little bit things they've added. So I'll just say that try to download the, if you go to Microsoft's websites, try to download the official version from Microsoft websites. And yeah, they offer 365, especially to students. So if you somehow contact support, tell them you're a student, I think they can also give discounts, like depending on the country you're from. I'm not sure, I'm just thinking, just a suggestion. But when I click on 365, it's mostly for, they have it like, it works for educational purposes also, and personal and family. You can learn more. And I've also noticed something, depending on the country you are, the price you will see will differ. So if it's something, so because I'm in France, I'll be seeing prices that are related to the standard of living in France, actually. So maybe in Nigeria, when you view from your end, you will see what price it is. So for example, this is what they are telling me. If I want to get this, I can get Microsoft 365 at approximately $100 per year, and I can have it to 2 to 6 people. So if you are students, you want to use it, you can come together, maybe 5 of you or 6 of you, you split the bill and you pay for it, and you share the same access to it. It's just like Netflix, what some people do with Netflix and Amazon Prime subscription also. Or you can just do 1 month free trial, see if you like it first, or if you get it, if you enjoy it. There are other personal, I think this is more of one person. Yeah, so that's it about Microsoft.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? Any other questions? You can raise up your hands and I'll bring it to your notice. Any other questions? Okay. So sir, before this event started, there were some questions that has been sent to us before the exam and before the event.
Okay.
So and most of them are not, basically because most people don't know, okay, that you're coming here to make some presentations. So most of them are based on your profile, geoscientist and data scientist.
Okay.
So they asked some questions related to data science.
Okay.
Am I free to go, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So first question here is coming. Okay. If one chooses to become a data scientist, how can TensorFlow and MATLAB be applied to field data?
So TensorFlow, MATLAB, how do you want to apply that? It's just depending on what you want to do with the feed data. Like, for example, do you just want to visualize your data, because there are different aspects to what you want to do with your data. And typically with geoscience work, after acquiring, you want to process and then make visualization and then interpret. So maybe it might be a case of processing your data, and you can use these programming languages just to write some codes to be able to do that. And then you want to also display your data for interpretation. So this is pretty much like the whole summary of the whole idea. But then with TensorFlow, it's just like the name is, like it more of like the kind of algorithm behind it's taking things like in vectors, and you can really work with them faster. So I've not particularly worked so much with it, but I've mainly used it related to machine learning that has to do with using Keras when it comes to neural network. But then it's pretty much the same concept as you would do in Python, in MATLAB, or in any coding that you do. You just need to understand the language, the syntax, and then code it out. So an example I'll give is the case of, for example, the case of, there are situations where we have pressure data which is acquired in the subsurface based on formation pressure test, and then we get this. So sometimes processing it or doing some things might be more tedious doing it manually. So you can bring in this data, like you have them already, maybe in a certain format of table, you bring it into your whatever programming language you're using, then do the processing, and then you visualize and interpret. Now, the good thing with using these programming languages is that it sort of automates your work, such that when you want to do that same kind of work next time, you don't have to repeat it over again. Like what you have to repeat might just be really minimal, maybe just loading the data and a few things. So it makes work faster and helps you allow you to automate the whole process. So that's what I can say in brief.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I think that'll be all. But I don't know if you can still answer another question, though is out related, since this is a career prospect for undergraduate. So there's a question. They said the question is asked, what are the possibility of jobs in this country after graduating with a BS degree in geophysics?
In Nigeria.
Yeah, in Nigeria.
Okay, so really there are, I mean, the opportunities, it depends on how far you want to take them. Like you take how far you want to fight for it, because we understand the same opportunity you want, every other person wants the opportunity to like getting the job. But that doesn't mean I mean, because people want to get the same opportunity as you, it doesn't mean you have to start being kind of biased or, being this kind of person that hides information. Like just be yourself, be naturally good, do the right things and do what is required. So I'll give example of myself. One of the ways I helped myself was I aim to get internship. Like you could go to conferences. These are good places to make networks. I'm not saying that's the sole essence of going to conferences. Like I don't just say I'm going to conference to meet people because I want to get a job, but because I know it's part of what might come along from interacting with people. So my sole aim is to go there, learn, get what I want from the conference. But at the same time, I'm not in isolation. There are people there. I interact with people I meet, and I can make contacts. And that was one of the ways I got my internship, because I went to the NAPE conference when I was in 300 level, made some contact, put some course through, got my internship. I was recommended, got into Danvik Petroleum International. But then afterwards, I moved on to ExxonMobil. That one, I wrote an aptitude test. And the thing about that was I submitted my IT letter at the conference, at the exhibition booth. So if I had never been to that conference in the first place, ExxonMobil would not have called me to come and write an aptitude test, and I would not have done my internship in ExxonMobil. So that's like me actually doing what, like, I was passionate for what I wanted, and I was taking steps, paying money, paid for the conferences, spending my money, took up leadership roles, built myself, my soft skills, as well, learning things like this that will make you stand out, something extra that people would like about you is one thing. And also learning, you need to keep the passionate about learning, making good friends that will motivate you along the line and encourage you to give you information, and always be out there looking for information. And then depending on what aspect of geophysics you want to work, the approach you might take might be with geoscience. You really need to try to get knowledge with internships, work around, because sometimes when you get into interviews, they really want to test you for the knowledge of what you have. And most times you can build more on that, even after school, get some trainings or some, get to learn more. That's pretty much it. But I mean, have faith, put in the work, and by the laws of the earth itself, may your hard work be rewarded.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank
I while we are waiting our next speaker, because he just he put a call through me right now. So I want to do something while in this room. Sir, there'll be a breakout section.
Okay.
So people will be there in that breakout section with you, so they have the ability. I think most people don't want to, so I'll pair two people to you right now. So
Okay.
they feel free to ask you any questions related to both the presentation of today and other things. So I'll be doing that right now, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we can all feel free to ask him questions right now. Let's ask him some questions.
I can do, sir.
I think you can So, for example, you can decide maybe to be learning online, but aside that, when it comes to the industry thing, it's like, of course, like it's a bit difficult these days, especially with getting internship with COVID. Like some companies are still working online, like they haven't resumed office work, so it's a bit daunting. I think I'm just saying it's like it's not really like sometimes, like for example, I've seen situations whereby at first you need to try to make an effort, like maybe I've seen example, like I'll give example of my time in Danvik Petroleum International. Like what I
Dr. Olonidua.
Ololorun. Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, Ololorun.
He's still there.
What
He's
of
still there.
Ademilua?
Yeah, he's now a professor. He's even the dean of students right now, dean of student affairs for Excel.
Wow, that's nice. He's one of the few nicest lecturer when I was in school.
He's actually my project supervisor now.
Yeah, he's one of the few. There are some few nice lecturers there. Dr. Kiemi is one of them. Very
Do you
nice.
know Dr. Aturam?
I didn't have the opportunity of him teaching me, but I think he traveled out, but I know him.
Okay.
As I was entering under level, we left. Then I
Okay.
did go K2.
Yeah, I think you can left already.
So geology. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's actually, to me, it's still okay. Though there are sometimes too, like, it was really stressful for us, especially when we were in 300 level. And
I think those lecturers have calmed down, that's why. Yeah,
they're a bit calm now, actually. They are. But for like Dr. Akiola now, like he still come, he joke with you, but when it comes to some aspect,
his classes is always 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. Yeah,
He still do that
we are
7
sticking
o'clock
to that. Yeah, we are sticking to that now, 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So
it's really nice talking to you, ma.
Yeah, pleasure is mine.
Yes, ma.
So I think Philip has joined. Is Philip here?
Yeah, I'm returning everybody back to the main section while I speak right now. So everybody will be going to the main section.
Oh, okay. All right. Please return us, so let us leave.
You continue here, sir.
Okay. Hello everybody. Welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes,
can hear
we
you,
can.
sir. All right. Sorry, I had to break because we are actually on schedule, and our next speaker is online with us right now. So give me a minute while okay. All right, let me read a little bit about our next speaker. All right. I want you all to meet our next speaker in person of Philip Ajaebili. And he's a geophysicist at Shell since 2012. Graduated from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, with a bachelor degree in geophysics. Philip is a member of NAPE, NMGS, and AAPG and SEG. Philip here loves events planning, traveling, and playing chess. I'm really humbled to invite to this event in person of Philip Ajaebili. Sir, you have the floor, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Good
can hear
afternoon,
you, sir.
All right. It's a pleasure being in our midst today. Let me just take a look at the attendees. So just help me. Who are the attendees on this call? Like basically students from what level to what level?
Yeah, we have students from 100 level down to 300, 400 level. So that's currently who we have.
Okay, good. So I think I'll just I'll try to give us some background about the talk I'm going to be sharing with us today. Apologies, I don't have much slide to share. I've been in transit for a while right now, almost a couple of weeks. I was worried I might not even be available to attend today, but I said, anyhow, I'll try to make it. It depends on us, what we want to get from this session. I have a couple of things I will share, but I want it to be interactive. I want it to be, nothing too formal, nothing too serious. I tend to like environments that are, not too strict. That's usually where, learning and creativity usually thrives on. So that said, I'm happy to also see Imoleayo and Madam Modupe on the court as well. So it's a privilege for me to be speaking in their midst as well. Okay, that said, I want to ask some question on the call, right? And to talk about the list of, career in geosciences. I want to throw it open in the call from our experiences. Maybe someone in 100 level can help. What are the typical kind of jobs geoscientists do, out there from what you think or what you know?
Okay, so I'd like to ask probably can they use the chat box so you can actually see it from the chat?
Okay, yeah, chat box is fine. Thanks. Okay, sorry.
Okay. So we can actually use the chat box.
You can also promote me to, okay, I think you've done it already because I want to share some things. Yeah, good. Anybody can type. It doesn't have to be 100 level. What are the typical jobs geoscientists do? What are the typical career? Yeah, just keep it coming. I want to see. I see data analyst, correct? I want to see more entries. I'm not saying I want to fill also, but they fill us so far. Hello.
Hello, no one is responding. Please, let's respond. Let's respond, please.
I'm not here to talk. I'm here to listen to us more. Please type in what are the typical careers geoscientists do out there from what you know or what you've seen people around maybe on LinkedIn or wherever. What are the typical careers you see geologists or geoscientists involve themselves with?
Most.
Go ahead, or you type it, anyone.
For jobs.
Go ahead, Banjo. Let us speak.
Most of them like look for jobs, oil companies, and some environmental. Usually, they work in the field of borehole and water resources, but I'm not really sure in the aspect of like software. In terms of most of them, they can learn Petra, interpretation of Petra, and so on, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Oluwanifemi.
Yes, sir.
All right, someone typed in borehole drilling consultancy. Very correct. Yeah, construction industry. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, maybe let me ask the second question, just out of curiosity for me. You can type it, you don't need to talk about it. From what you think about today being the 29th day of April 2022, from your own small perspective as of today, what do you think you would like to become? What aspect of geosciences, would you like to be? Just tell me what industry you would like to practice your geology. your geosciences. You can type it. This one I'm personalizing it. Okay, someone said he would love to be a field geologist. Fantastic. Please go ahead. Help me and type it. Someone wants Slum BG as data analyst. Fantastic. Keep it coming. I want to see what do you think you want to be? Someone say, when you say these things, you kind of prophesy it into your life. So just type it. Someone is saying, as Jamie is saying, stratigraphy in oil and gas or exploration. Please type it. Exploration geophysics from Victoria. What do you want to be? Mining sector. Fantastic. All right. Energy transition. As a geology student today, what aspect do you see yourself becoming in the near future, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Many people are silent on this call.
Let's be responsible, please. Thank you. Okay.
One thing I can assure you is that at the end of this session, I think some of us would be really driven towards achieving great things. So I just want to see our involvement. I love this. I saw medical that's a new aspect of, I don't even have it in my list, but that's a new aspect of geosciences that is gaining a lot of popularity these days. The past president of SCG, I think he left his role in Slum BG to go work as a medical geologist. That's a very innovative aspect of geosciences that's coming up. All right, so let me start this way. Have your pen by your side. I'll try to speak as much as possible. A lot of what I'll be sharing will be from my personal experiences. A lot will be from my personal interactions with people. I would say I'm privileged, as a geoscientist, as a geophysicist. I'll give you a bit about my story. Some of you might know it, some of you might not, but I've been a privileged boy, let me put it that way, right from time. I gained admission to study geology in the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Futo, in 2005. And I was privileged to study that course for 5 years. We had the option of entering geology or geophysics option. And I took the geophysics option, came out with a first class, and a lot of innovative things while I was studying in school. I was involved, if I want to be specific, with SCG. With SCG, Serge, I was the financial secretary in my time. And I was privileged to represent my school at the SCG Challenge Ball. Do they still do the Challenge Ball in SCG?
Yeah. So we're coming up with one this year. So yes, sir.
Fantastic. Sorry, my video is not on. And, as I said earlier, quite a lot of transit happening.
Okay.
I did that and did the Challenge Ball, represented my university together with my colleague Eric, who is also in chair with me. We came first in Nigeria, in the Nigerian edition, beating many universities in that process. And in the end, had to represent Nigeria, at a global stage. And what did that do for us? It gave us that opportunity that's for the first time I traveled out of the country, went to the United States of America, went for the SCG annual conference in San Antonio, Texas. And we represented Africa in that global stage, and we came second in the world. That was in 2011. They were about 2010, 2011. Of course, that opened up a lot of opportunities, right? Because these are young students coming from Nigeria, competing with people who were, doing masters and PhD in the United States, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, Europe, South America, different parts of the world, and we were able to compete favorably and came second. Of course, that also opened up opportunities towards getting favorable jobs. Currently, myself, I work for Shell, and my colleague also work for Shell. Why am I sharing all this? I'm sharing all this because I just want us to open our views, our horizon of how the world works. Don't limit yourself. So when I was entering into the university, I told myself that I want to be a kind of student that will have a global impact. I was saying it casually in my thoughts, those are the kind of things I was thinking. I never knew how this will materialize, but eventually, right, it just had its way of, the earth had its own way of aligning things. And lo and behold, I was in the United States doing great things for Africa, doing great things for Nigeria. And eventually it came to reality. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say your life is shaped by how you think. What are the kind of thought processes are you going right now? What's the kind of vision you're building for your life right now? Because it's from there it starts. When we now talk about list of career, you need to have a picture of where you want to be yourself, right? I would recommend in today's world.
Hello, sir. Can anyone hear him apart from me?
No, I can't hear him.
Okay, probably his network went off. Let's give him some time. I think his network is quite bad. He has gone off, so let's wait for him to be back. Okay, I think he's back now. Okay,
Hello,
sir.
can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you now.
Did you hear me up to the point where I asked if you could hear me?
No. We are just hearing you now.
Where did you stop?
Okay,
Sorry.
we stopped where you were talking about you going to the United States and actually being able to make a global impact.
Okay, well, so my point here is I'm not trying to excite anybody, with my own personal stories. Those are my own stories. Those are the stories that created path for me, right? My focus on today's discourse is, what's your own story? How do you want to shape your own life? How do you want to shape your own story? And really, everything is in your hands. The way you want it, molded. It depends on how you really, want to thrive. The next thing I just want to chip in is, I'm actually just coming from Colombia. I went to Colombia for the AAPG International Conference and Exhibition in Cartagena in Colombia. It was a sponsored trip for me, being the coordinator for young professional in the African region of the AAPG. And it was really an eye-opener for me in the sense that I saw quite a lot of wonderful initiatives being, done around the world. Why am I sharing this? One of the things I saw there was, it became glaring. There's a career in geoscience. It's not so common, right? But there's a career in geoscience that have to do with association, being a member or being a staff of an association. So you can actually be a geologist, and choose to work for bodies like NAPE, bodies like EAGE, like SCG, like AAPG. And it's really a wonderful one if you have that kind of interest. Some persons are very good in building societies, community building, all those kind of efforts. Nothing stop you from choosing a career that's meant with the passion I have as a person, as a geologist. I want to be involved in the community aspects of geology, building a community of motivated geoscientists. And really, that's a career path. So why did I share this? I met with the executive director of the AAPG, Mr. David Curtis, and he's a geologist, and basically almost all his career has been straddling between AAPG and also, working as a geologist in their state's Congress, just like their own parliament and their own National Assembly in a way. So basically, countries, advanced countries, they have geoscientists, present in the house where they are involved in formulating very good policies, from a geology point of view, be it their mining, be it their petroleum extraction industry and all that. And from there, he transited into becoming the executive director for he took a role in AAPG before eventually becoming the executive director of AAPG. Why am I saying this? I want us to open our mind. The world is changing. The level of application of ourselves also is changing. If you have a good picture of where you think you want to be, you can, from your experience in geosciences, break into that. At this point, I will share my screen. I think, and I hope you're still following me.
Yes, sir, we are following you, sir.
All right. I hope I'm also not talking too much jargon.
No, sir.
It's all right. Let me know when you see the screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
All right. So if you notice the way I've started, I've really started from us looking at ourselves personally, in terms of what we really want to be. Don't be under pressure to go do something that maybe you are not motivated about, because that is what is happening, that is the end thing. Everybody is moving towards that direction. At the end of all this, what matters is your career, how you were able to impact the world, with your day-to-day job. So I'm saying this so that nobody goes with the mindset or the peer pressure that I must be a geophysicist or whatever, and work in the oil and gas industry. And don't limit yourself. Don't put yourself right in a cage. The world is evolving. What I've done here is I've listed, I don't know if you see my cursor, sorry. Do you see my pointer?
Yeah, we can see it, sir.
Yeah, so basically I just try to put, it's just a one-page slide I have for us. A lot of what we do will be discussion. I'll leverage my own experiences to answer questions and answers too. But the most common aspect of industry in today's world as geoscientists, that's a lot of people are interested in, is petroleum industry in Nigeria, for example. You need geologists to be able to start with, to be able to find hydrocarbon, right? Geologists are the masters of locating, where you have commercially viable hydrocarbon resource, that will subsequently be drilled, explored for drilled and later developed, for subsequent exports or for, subsequent use either for export purposes or in country in terms of domestic use like power generation and all that. It's an aspect of geosciences that have been popular over the years. It's been, if you get a good company, it's also been one that has been, in terms of remunerations has been also rewarding if you are able to get a good firm. Now, that said, we all know that there's a big challenge there. Everybody cannot work in the oil and gas sector. It's not possible. How many are you in your classes in, for example, 400 level? What's the average population there? Doesn't have to be exact. Averagely, how many are you people in 400 level?
Okay. Someone has written it in the chat box. 57, sir.
Yeah, just help man. Then for 300 level.
For 300 level, they're looking at like 70.
Then 200 level.
200 level, I think we are, that's 80.
And 100 level.
I'm not too sure, but on a guess or an estimate, there should be around 60 or more.
Thanks. And we're having a program like this to start with, and I'm seeing only, if I would say maybe effectively only 15 persons, that are on this call out of the whole number that you've just mentioned. One of the things that starts happening first and foremost is, I know, are you guys on strike as well? Just let me confirm that.
Yes, we're on strike, sir.
Okay, so that said, a lot of people that manage to find themselves in oil and gas industry, so most times is not just results. The result will help, right? But sometimes all this networking, all these social skills, leadership skills are what will help you to get roles there, right? Let me just mention it that I don't want us to box ourselves with petroleum industry. In my class, we're about, let me see, we're over 100. We're over 100 in my class that did geology. We graduated in 2010. As of today, let me look at it properly. As of today, we are not more than, we are just 2 actually. Out of 100, we are just 2, but that we are working in the oil and gas industry. Maybe I was working in IOCs. But at most, we are not up to 5. We are not up to 5 working in the petroleum industry. I just let me pause on that. We are not up to 5 working in the petroleum industry in a class of over 100 persons. You know what that tells you? It's not as easy as such to get it. But interestingly, in my class of over 100 and something persons, the people who are the big boys, or people who are doing very well in my class as of today, are not even the ones working in the oil and gas industry. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, doing their own things and doing it big. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not boxing anybody into that a career in the petroleum industry is the only thing that can take you towards success. Far from it. There are many other things, out there as geoscientists that you can do to contribute your quota. Mining is a big one. One of the guys in our set then, who is doing very well today, is working in the mining industry, although not in Nigeria. He's working in the US, but in the mining industry. Now, before I start drilling deep into all these sub-parts of geosciences, I said something, and I gave us a classical example. Look at yourself as a global guy. Look at yourself as a global lady. Don't play in the small league, play in the big league. Because we all know these challenges in our, not many aspects of geosciences are well developed in terms of having a full-time career. But if you open yourself up to become globally competitive, you can get a job anywhere in the world, as long as you are competitive. And competitive spirit involves you doing a lot of self-development to position you to land those big roles outside the oil and gas industry. Mining is a very common one. These days, there are a lot of talk about renewable energy, environmental, space, engineering, teaching. You also have people who are professors, who are lecturers as well. You can choose to be a lecturer, and it should be rewarding as well. You can also work for the government and also non-profit. I'll come back into these aspects maybe in details later on. But now let's look at the careers one after the other. Geologist. Geologist is the most common one in the geoscience basket. So basically, it's, yeah, even though the term might be geologist, of course, involves the study of the earth and how we can, use its resources for our benefit. But largely at the heart of it is the study of the earth. Every aspect of earth sciences, anyway, is the study of the earth. But you see geologists very common, in the petroleum industry. You see them. You see what we call production geologists, PG. They're very involved in building, static models, doing a lot of interpretation. Yeah, some people call them, seismic interpreter. You also have production seismologists. So basically, they're involved in interpretation, studying of cores, studying of the earth from different approach towards getting a good model of how the earth's subsurface is. So that's one of the very popular one. You can be in the oil industry, you can be in the mining industry, as a that geologist. But in this case, or using physical concepts, physics, and applying it to the study of the earth. So you have a lot. The most common one today is the seismic one, because that's what is used mostly in the oil and gas sector. But you also have other geophysicists who use electrical methods, who use electromagnetic methods, gravity method, very common. In fact, when you want to go into exploration in a new frontier, in a new basin, you need to, take some aeromagnetic, some gravity surveys, electromagnetic and all that, so most times you see them fly aeroplanes to take surveys. So geophysicists are really involved in that effort. Geochemists also, you also have an aspect of geosciences as geochemists. They work also in the oil and gas industry. So typically when you want to enter a new place, you want to understand the petroleum system. Geochemistry or geochemists in this case are usually involved in understanding how is that basin charged, because you need to have a basin that is well charged. The oil and gas, they needed to have been cooked properly, before you start talking about migration pathway and all that. Geochemists are involved in studying that, those composition. Also, in this conference I went to, I also saw a lot of geochemistry involved in fingerprinting. So in the US and in some other places in America, they do a lot of commingling. So they produce hydrocarbon from different zones, in a particular well. But most times you want to be able to differentiate between hydrocarbon coming from reservoir A and hydrocarbon coming from reservoir B. And the way you do that is through geochemistry. You call it fingerprinting. So you tend to know the geochemical component of those hydrocarbon, those crude. And from there, you're able to distinguish. So a lot of geochemists out there is an interest. If you might want to look at that aspect, very good in terms of hydrocarbon petroleum system. You need geochemists a lot. Geotechnical engineering are mostly involved in foundation studies. So usually, you can also call them, some are related in a way to engineering geology. When you want to build tunnels, right, in our country, I don't think we do that anyway, but when you want to build tunnels, it's very common in overseas country. You need geologists to be able to do your tunneling project properly. Engineering geologists come to play. You need to understand the stress, strain fields properly. I think a lot of geologists involved there. They don't want to go and build your tunnel under an area where the shear forces are strong and where the zones are weak. You get collapse. So you need a lot of geotechnical engineers there. Also, when you're building bridges and all that, civil engineering work, complex one, you need geologists. Even roads, actually, you need geologists to be able to, properly look at the right path to follow, the right direction. Like, for example, I'll give you a classical example. In my years as undergrad, there is this, we normally go to Ebonyi State for field work, and the road from Okigwe to Afikpo, I think it's over the years, it's perennially bad. Swelling shales, that is swelling clays, that are in that area. So most times when you put in your roads, after a while, it begins to crack. It begins to, give way. But towards my final year or at the end of it, that road was repaired properly. They don't took out time to repair that road. And what did they do? They had to involve some bit of geology, to be able to properly recommend the kind of soil to use, the kind of minerals to use. I think they even had to excavate some of those swelling clays and shales to replace them with other geologic materials that would help the road. And now that road was constructed, and for more than 10 years, that road has been good. This is a road that typically will not stay more than 6 months to give way. But using geology concept and geology ideas, you're able to fix that problem. So yes, very, very important. You can work as an engineer in construction by having your background in geology. And the way to do that is through geotechnical engineering. You also have mud loggers. Yeah, I know it's still related to geology story, but those guys are the guys that in oil and gas industry, we always drill wells, because when we drill wells, we get new hydrocarbon resource. And for you to drill wells, you need mud loggers. Mud loggers are the ones that would log, the different formations as you are passing through them, to know, which one is sand, which one is shale. They collect samples, cuttings that comes from the drilling experience. It's brought to the surface. They are the one that analyze it. They also analyze the, gas chromatography results. They also, look at a lot of other things, to be able to ascertain that maybe you're in a hydrocarbon bearing zone, that kind of thing. And if you're having washouts, they propose solution on how to fix it, working with the mud engineers, they re-engineer the mud and help fix that problem. So mud logging is very common for geologists to get jobs as mud loggers so you work hand in hand a lot with the well site geologists. So geologists also, we have geologists that are basically specialized in drilling of oil and gas well. We call those ones the well site geologists. They're operations based. Now you have the paleontologists also. These guys are the guys that take fossils. They look at fossils, and from there they'll be able to tell you the age of the earth. They're able to tell you some characteristics of what happened at that geologic time. They are also very important if you want to understand your subsurface properly. You have the seismologists. I think I'll just rush through. I want it to be more of discussion. I don't want to start. Some of these things you can read it online and read the details. Seismologists are mostly, people who are studying the earthquakes. It's a very common field outside the country. In Nigeria, we don't have seismologists we typically don't have earthquake issues, but in places like Japan, US, a couple of other places, South America, where they have earthquake issues, you need to seismologists to understand and study it. And also how it relates to buildings, so that you don't get your buildings, and spoiled. Meteorologists is a rather common example. When I was on undergraduate, I think we did introduction to meteorology, where you get to see how physics, geology concepts, how they're used to study the climate, study the atmosphere, study all those things. You go to watch your CNN and your BBC, you see weather reports. Those are mostly meteorologists. Some of them have geology background. You can choose to be there. You work in airports, you work in all these kind of places that predict weather. Climate change is a big thing today. In fact, if you want to get a job quickly somehow, in the next couple of years, pay a little bit more attention into climate change, because a lot is going there, with the COP, the one that happened recently, COP26 in Glasgow. A lot of countries are embracing climate change. We have those who study volcano, and volcano is not popular in Nigeria. We also have the hydrogeologists and the hydrologists as well. Those who are involved in water exploration. It's a very big field, though. In fact, I think the hydrogeology aspect is a bigger field than even oil and gas industry, because all around the world, we all need potable water. We need to drink water. So it's a big aspect, very, very big one. Not just in Nigeria, in the world, all over. Access to drinking water is a big problem. So we need geologists to help us solve that problem. Hydrographic surveyors, you need, a lot of us will be hearing about this, geographic information system. Yes, surveyors are the ones that do that, but we also have some of geologists or geoscientists who specialize in that aspect to become experts in geodesy, taking accurate position of places and all that. Oceanographer, the same, a lot of huge resources in oceans. We have environmental geologists. We have environmental geologists is something that will become more and more needed. If you are interested in environmental geologists, just follow it through, because a lot of environmental regulations are coming in, environmental monitoring, environmental impact assessments. You need geologists to be able to help out in that. Soil scientists, some geologists specialize in that aspect of the near surface that is focused on, looking at the soil. Then we have mineralogists. Let me tell us something. I think one of our guys, there was a presentation I attended, someone was mentioning about a geologist who is now working for Apple or so, thereabouts. Apple, we all know Apple is like the biggest company in the world in terms of market capitalization, I think. They make product, they make iPhones, iPad, and all that. And all those things are made up of minerals, right? Cobalt and all that, nickel and coal that are used in producing all those products. Geologists, I think they employ geologists basically for all this QA and QC of products that are those mineral products that are using in making this product. So you don't be surprised. You can work for Apple tomorrow by just your basic knowledge of geosciences and minerals, understanding how minerals are at play. You also have a very big aspect. This will emerge more in the near future. Space. Now there are a lot of space expedition and space efforts. Geologists are needed to understand what's happening in the space, So I know I've run through this in a nutshell, but my message is simple here. Don't limit yourself. The world is all yours for the capture, right? As long as you can think it, you can be it, you can achieve it. It's not a matter of motivation or whatever, but it's a matter of you believing in yourself that you can actually be successful. And it starts with your mind. Once you can think it, don't limit yourself. The world is there for your capture. So back to this industry, a lot of energy is happening in the renewable energy. People are talking about going greener. It will become, in our generation, that will be what will be coming up more and more. Position yourself now to start knowing a little bit about renewable energy. How can you come to play as a geologist? With all these CO2 emission, how to reduce it, geothermal energy. Geoscientists are the ones that are key critical here. So for government agencies, you have Nigeria Geology, NGSA, that's Nigeria Geologic Survey Agency, I think, and the biggest one in the world, USGA or so, United States Geological Survey, that's USGS. They employ hundreds, if not thousands, of geologists out there to be able to do, geologic work in their countries. Of course, when you work for government agencies like the NNPC, the DPR, you also, it's also needed a lot. Non-for-profits are the one is where I started from, AAPG, EAGE, SPE, and so on and so forth. So that's it. Let me stop here. Let me take questions. I know I've spoken a lot, But my major emphasis, as I mentioned, is I don't want anybody to limit his or herself. Open your mind and you can actually become many great things. One of the most popular things happening in today's world right now is even data analytics, data science, data digitalization. In today's world, if you're not into programming as a student, the only thing I can just say is sorry, because the world is changing. And in your own time, if you want to get a job tomorrow, in fact, I'm already seeing it in some job applications. They will state it categorically that you need to be able to know how to program, how to do some coding. Make sure you are learning your coding, know all your Python, C++, whatever, all those are. Make sure you're learning them and mastering them. Why? Even if you don't get a job in a typical geoscience sector, you can work for a tech company, you can work for Google, you can work for, Amazon, you can work anywhere practically, So don't limit yourself is what I want to say here. Thank you.
Thank
Questions,
you.
I'll take them here.
Thank you very much. I really must say thank you for dishing out these different careers. Even some of them that I'm even looking at, most of them I've not heard of them. And I must say thank you very much for turning out this to us. So is this moment where if you have questions for him, please feel free. I'll just raise up your hand so that I can unmute you and you can talk. Where is this time? Give a raise of hand. Okay. All right. We have someone here. All right. You can actually unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation. My name is Veronica. So, and I have a question concerning mapping and map interpretation. So, I want to know that is there any aspect of career in geology that are based on mapping and map interpretation, or there's a career that is like going together with that mapping interpretation? And if there isn't, like, is there a course one can do to improve your knowledge about map interpretation? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So when you hear geologists, right, all of us that are geologists, I think one of our job description or one of the things we do in our work is to produce maps, right? So yes, you will not necessarily see a career that you say you'll be a map analyst or map producer or something. You'll be a geologist, and a core aspect of it is to generate maps. So yes, please try to learn skills that will help your mapping. Today's world, we all have internet, we have data. There are many things. If you go to online, YouTube, you will see a lot of, many explanations on how to do things like mapping and co. So yes, also, right, field mapping. When you go to your field work in school, try to learn as much as you can from your professors and your lecturers on how to do, mapping properly. Also, take advantages of your professional association. As students, I think you can be free member of AAPG, SCG, because all these things are paid for by company. I think so. I don't know. I think EAG also should be free. Leverage them and be members there. You'll see a lot of materials, that will talk on these kind of things. EAG, they have a very strong technical video on different aspects of geosciences. You can leverage on that to learn. NAPE, do short courses from time to time. When you go to the conferences, try to attend. You see some that are, depending on the year, some might be on mapping, try and partake to learn more. You can only learn more when you reach out, when you ask questions, when you also research on your own self by yourself. And in today's world, you can even do online courses that are free. A lot of all these universities like Harvard, Stanford, and co, they are doing free geoscience courses. So just leverage your internet. You will definitely pick up those skills. But yes, eventually at the end, you become a geologist because geologists are the ones that produce maps. So whether you're a geologist in the oil and gas, you produce map. Whether you're a geologist in the mining sector, you need to produce map. Whether you're a geologist in all this Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, you produce maps. So mapping is part of your life. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Sorry. All right, sir. I think Banjo Shani has a question. So Banjo Shani, you have the floor. Speak, please.
Okay, good morning, sir. Or good afternoon, sir. I have two questions. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, I can hear you.
Okay, so sir, my first question is about paleontology. You said something, and you mentioned the fact that paleontologists deal with ancient fossils and such. So I would like to know how a paleontologist can help a company make money. Are they working in oil companies? What exactly do they do in a geological company or in a mining company or whatever their field is? Also, my second question is this. I'm a bit into software coding and such. I want to know what is the relevance of these softwares to a geologist. What are the softwares that I can learn that will help me? I'm currently NYC service, so I just want to know some softwares that I can learn that could help me, like give me an advantage when I finally move into the market of searching for a job. Or what can you tell me about softwares? I don't know, maybe Petra or something that I can use, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. Your question, paleontology, of course, we have in oil and gas industry, we have paleontologists that work, on projects. So especially for exploration settings, right? In exploration settings, many things are not certain. You're not 100% sure that there'll be oil and gas where you want to explore for. So what gives that level of confidence is if you have a lot of different aspects of geosciences, studying that exploration viability of a place. And now everything is now integrated. So what do I mean by, so you have geophysicists who look at seismic and all that, DHI and all that, and they will say, okay, there's a high chance that there'll be hydrocarbon there, but you're still not sure. Geologists will look at their own too, and make their own best estimate as well. Paleontologists also, they are key, especially in exploration setting, because if you are studying fossils, right? Maybe, for example, you are looking at, let me just give it a very big, you're looking at Cretaceous play. Maybe you're looking for, Cretaceous reservoirs, for example. I'm just giving an example. Now, if you're looking at it in an exploration setting, you look at it on a regional scale and you see that at so time, maybe at the Cretaceous stage, there was maximum flooding surfaces, right? At that time, these fossils were predominant, maybe at that in that area. And now, if you're doing exploration, based on your knowledge on paleontology, you see a particular fossil, right, at a particular zone. It already tells you from your historical knowledge that if I see this fossil, it seems that then this reservoir will be good, or maybe this source rock is okay, based on my knowledge of fossils that were common at that time, So a lot of fossils, a lot of people who study fossils are relevant in that area. I hope that answers. Then for the software bit, I'm not a paleontologist. There are some, classical examples that paleontologists can give you. I just gave you the generic one that yes, when you study corals, for example, you also check out for fossils, and that gives you some level of confidence that, there's either oil and gas here or there's not. There's some fossils you will see, for example, it will tell you that definitely it's not possible for oil and gas to be present because it was in an oxic environment, or, and there was, too much cooking or something. That kind of information is paleontology that can tell you. And when you are doing dating, different kind of dating, paleontologists can also help you to do proper dating. Then for the coding bit, so the whole thing about digitalization is about how to make our work easier and faster, right? Sometimes some of the repetitive things we do, we want to make it easy, just one click and everything is done. And you need those Python skills to be able to do so. So basic knowledge of Python can help you simplify your work. Your work will be simple to do, right? You don't have to stress yourself, you just automate things. then the other aspect is that when you have a problem and you want to solve it with software, you need developers. And typically, if you go pick developers out there who don't really know much about geology, sometimes they don't know how to translate it into the kind of product that will solve geology's problem. But if you're a geologist who have that kind of background, who now knows coding, you'll be vital in building a software, a robust software that will solve geoscience problem, because you understand the problem as a geoscientist. So that said, there are many companies these days that do a lot of software development programs. There are also companies that do geoscience software training, right? If you Google them out there, you will see quite a lot of companies that are into that. And from there, you should be able to, of course, it's going to cost you some money. You pay some, because these things, sometimes you have to do self-investment. Also, you have platforms like the EAG, NAPE, AAPG. From time to time, they also do programs, right? They do technical workshops. They do hands-on software, training program. Take advantage of those platforms. That's why you have to be serious with your professional society. SCG, in this case, NAPE, AAPG, EAGE, SP, all of them, take advantage of it to really, transform yourself professionally, and it will help you land jobs, in the near future. You don't even have to be a job seeker once you even know your programming very well. You can be an independent player, self-employed, and you'll be doing very well. A lot of our people these days don't even work for companies. They work so they're like freelancer, or they work for virtual companies. They work for companies in the United States, in the UK, even though they are based here in Nigeria, and they earn in foreign currency. But the key thing is that you need to be very good. Those people won't employ you unless you are very good in your programming. So yeah, the sky is your starting point, not even limit, once you're in that line of work. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, does that answer your question? You can actually drop the answer in the chat box.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. That answers my question, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.
All right.
So, sir, we have a question from the chat box again. It says, please, sir, what are the relationship and difference between archaeology, geophysics, and paleontology? And paleontology.
Yeah, the geophysics is clear. It's just applying geophysics to study, or applying physical concepts and mathematics to study the earth. Is a bit different from archaeology and paleontology. Paleontology, as I've mentioned, is trying to study fossils and that have occurred in the past and using it to understand the Earth's surface. Archaeology is not geology per se. It's in the aspect of if you go to check Department of Archaeology in most universities abroad, I don't think it's too common in Nigeria, you see them that they are in the arts, they're in social sciences. So it's more around studying some of the artifacts or some of the artwork that were present, that they've been subsumed by the earth over a while. So they're not usually very, very deep. They're just not as deep in terms of the subsurface. They're usually within the near surface. In fact, where the relationship comes in with geophysics is that if you do some bit of geophysics method, like electrical method, in fact, you'll be able to, see some of this anomaly, archaeological anomaly, and from there, once they go to excavate, they see some of this artwork, some of these cultural items that are of interest, from time past. But yes, nothing stopping geologists from, venturing into archaeology. It's something that is studied very well abroad. I don't think it's too strong here in Nigeria. It goes back to the point I tried to mention. I try to encourage us to have a global view, because the truth of the matter is that some of these aspects of geosciences are not really strong in Nigeria. So yes, they are relationships, but they're clearly different. between archaeology, geophysics, and paleontology, because yeah, of course, as you are doing archaeology, you might see some of these near surface fossils and all that. But the main study of that archaeology is for studying old cultures, old artwork, old, you see some of the paintings, some of the cave-ins or carvings rather that have been done in the past. People try to get them because the whole point is that they have a lot of economic value once you excavate them and get them out. Some people sell all those things for lots of money, millions of dollars. You can also expose them in museum. But most of those things are sponsored by government agencies to support archaeological findings. Yeah, good one. Geophysics can help using geophysical methods. You can read, if you go online, just Google geophysical methods, used for archaeological purpose. I think you'll see a lot of papers of how people have demonstrated the use of, certain geophysics methods to get archaeological sites. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We also have a question here again. These are questions that has been asked before the event. And someone asks, what are the professional courses a geophysics graduate can apply for after? Hello, sir.
Professional courses.
Yes, professional courses.
Okay. There are a lot of professional courses out there now. The thing for me, I will say something. I'll just say it. It might be controversial, but I'll say it anyway. The thing is that don't be, how will I put it? So when we were there, maybe you just graduated, you just try to do everything, anywhere below face. You have to do this one, do that one, do this. Sometimes it might not really be the best approach to getting a good career. Yes, it can help, but when you start talking about professional courses, yeah, you can go and do HSC, you do project management, you do, all those kind of things. But yeah, if you have money, you can do them. But really, if you have an idea of what you really want, like for example, if it's coding, you just focus yourself and start doing a lot of free online courses on coding. Yes, you can have interest in project management. There are project management courses out there. Yes, you can do HSC, right? Those are the common courses you see out there. You can do some bit of management courses, communication courses, leadership training. Leadership is always good anytime because you need it. You need it out there if you have leadership courses. Those are the common professional courses. The other ones are if you have interest now, you want to do accounting, you can do ICANN and all those things. But sometimes it's not just good to just do everything. Just find what pleases you and be consistent about it. And I can assure you, in the right time, a door will open up for you. Don't just do everything because everybody is doing everything. Find the one that interests you and do. Rather, that would be my own suggestion.
Well,
I see that. Sorry. SCG, you guys pay money for now for students
I think the payment is
to be free my time. It was paid for by, I can't remember now, that is Chevron or so.
Yeah,
like that again.
Okay, the thing there is the $6 is for you as student, it's free for everybody. But now that $6 attaches you to get access to the library, the SCG library, and some other high-end benefits. But you can just register as a normal student, but you might not be entitled to most of those benefits. So
okay. Well, it's okay. It's okay. So let me put it this way. If you know what you're looking for in life, you start to make some sacrifices towards achieving it. If you want to be like me, I'll give you an example. When I was a student, okay, I did internship in Shell, undergraduate internship. Of course, how did I get it? I got it because I was among the very best students in my class, right? And they were scouting for assessed interns, from different universities who are the best students. Yeah, I was able to get that. You will see in my life that a lot of things are just grace. It's not as if I know anybody. I don't know anybody. But my point here was that I came in and I really didn't know much. yes, I was very good in geophysics or, academic knowledge, but how to apply it in industry was a challenge. What helped me, one of the things that helped me in my undergraduate internship then was having access to papers. Because I was a member of SCG, I could use my my membership number to access strategic papers, to be able to even learn how these things are done from an academic point of view, how it translates to industry. And from there, you start building yourselves. And from there, I was able to pick up quickly and be able to deliver on my internship projects. And also, with that knowledge I built, right, I partook in the NMGS conference, did student presentation, and won the overall best student presenter. Now, I'm giving you, I have many stories. I'm a student. I used to be a student with many stories. I have too many stories, successful stories, but they don't just come like that. Sacrifices were made. So if you want to stand out from the crowd, you need to make your own personal sacrifices, right? So nothing you shouldn't say because of that, you don't want to, subscribe. Rather make those sacrifices as long as you take advantage of them to transform your life, then you will be on the right path. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I really want to appreciate your time and everything you've said today. We are hoping again, probably another time, we have just another section with just you in our society.
Yeah, one thing you should also know about me. I nearly declined this because I actually don't have time, right? Because not because I don't want to not have time,
Okay.
but because I'm the current NAPE UAP chair. I don't know how many of us know that.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, so that's is a big role that involves interfacing with a lot of universities, with lecturers. It keeps me very busy in addition to my day-to-day job. So my point is that in my role as NAPE UAP chair, I would at some point interface with your school nonetheless, whether you call me or not.
Okay,
I really want us to see how to do some innovative programs. Maybe we'll target it at the Southwest and get schools within the neighborhood to partake. Yeah, but definitely you see. What I'm just trying to say is that you will hear from me more and see me more.
All right, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
you see, one thing about me, I try to put myself in different places. I try to use myself as an example, but not to brag, but to give us example that sometimes you just have to create value in multiple places in a way, and it opens door for you. Tomorrow you want to start getting jobs. It's not easy. I must tell you the truth. I will not lie to anybody on this call that it's easy to get job. It's difficult. So it's how you stand out, how you displaying your leadership skill, how are you volunteering, how are you adding value as a student. Of course, carrying your academic studies. I told you all that I was also trying, at least in my own academic studies, but carrying all these things along helps you to stand out, to get good jobs, in the near future. Don't be the type that will be hiding. Don't hide. Come out from your hiding places. Volunteer, make impact, add value, and then this sky will be your starting point. Thank you very much. It's been an exciting one for me.
Thank you very much, sir.
To speak with us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much once again. On this note, I want us to give a clap, a thank you in the chat box to our speaker. You can just give a thank you. Let me see it in the comment box there while we invite the next speaker. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, not a problem. I'll be dropping shortly. I told you guys I'm in transit, a couple of things at the same time. Yeah.
No problem, sir. So I would like to share, if I would like the permission to share your contact or your email. Which one?
Yes, please. Let me type it. That's not a problem.
Okay, and your LinkedIn profile too, sir.
Not a problem.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm typing it. So the next speaker can start already.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So okay. All right. Thank you once again, everybody that stayed on this call. I would say we have 13 people remaining on this call. which is I was expecting at least a number of 50 people because the registration there are over 70 people registered. But all the best. I want to invite our next speaker in person of our Modupe Esther. Modupe is a team-driven geoscientist with over 5 years of experience in the industry. She's the government operation manager at Danvik Petroleum International. She has been an active member of professional bodies such as OGTAN, EAGE, NAPE, and AAPG. She's currently the Assistant General Secretary of Oil and Gas Training Association of Nigeria and also currently leads the Young Professional Wing of the EAG local chapter in Nigeria. A drive to serve has started since she was an undergraduate at Ekiti State University, where she served in various student leadership positions. She is skilled in technical knowledge and in business and contract negotiation. Modupe has influenced commercial strategy across business development, operation, and corporate governance. And on this note, I'd like to invite our Modupe Esther. Thank you. You have the floor, ma.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma.
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I would like to thank SCG executives for inviting me for this webinar and also recognize all other speakers that have spoken yesterday and today. I feel like the session and the webinar has been really insightful and eye-opening. And so I would like to ask, how many minutes do I have?
Ma, you're the last speaker, so I would say as long as you can go, so I'll be the one.
No.
So okay, the thing is, this is 1:40, so you still have like till 2:10 or 2:20.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay, hold on. I'll try to like share my slide now.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Am I the co-host? Sorry, I'm coming. All right. Please, can you hold on? Please, can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am. I can see it, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much. So today I'll be talking about becoming a business consultant in geoscience, and most of the previous speakers, they've said a lot of things and spoken well about different careers in geoscience, so that you people will know that it's not only about oil and gas. There are a lot of hidden gems in geoscience, a lot of bigger opportunities aside from the oil and gas industry. You understand? So there are a lot of opportunities outside oil and gas industry, because most people, when they go to school, they study geology or geophysics, their main aim and target is working at oil and gas organization. And it's not as easy as it used to be. Even before, it wasn't easy before, but now it's even very, very difficult to get into the oil and gas sector. People inside don't want to leave, and there's no much room for new people to join. So it's always like one in like 100 opportunities that you get to see people working in the oil and gas. So I'll be talking to you about what business is all about. Then, because I'll also talk to you about entrepreneurship in geoscience, then overview of the oil and gas industry, because that's where I am conversant with, and just talk to you about steps to becoming successful business consultants and all. So let's start with what the business is all about. So what's a business? You can define business as like an organization or enterprising entity that is engaged in either commercial or industrial professions. So business can be profit and actually non-profit organizations, and you have all these limited liability companies, you have the sole proprietorships, partnerships, and all. So let's talk about geoscience business consultants, then entrepreneurs. Who are they? So as a business consultant, you're either an entrepreneur or you work for someone or a firm or a company as their consultant. So they both work hand in hand together. Either you have your own business or you work for somebody as their consultant. So being a business consultant is just, it's easy for you to actually stand on your own and start your own company and also consult for people that need your services. So what do? They actually provide solutions to any field in geoscience, any field whatsoever. So like I said, there are a lot of fields in geoscience. They are not limited to just oil and gas. Philip has already discussed different careers in geoscience. So I'll just mention few geoscience opportunities. So we have the oil and gas. Like I said, I'm very conversant with that because that's where I started my career from, and I'm still presently in the oil and gas. So, but we have other ones that I know a little bit about, maybe because I have friends or mentors in different other aspects of the geoscience. So we have the oil and gas, then we have the data management and app development. This is like one hidden gem that people are not really conversant with. Their eyes are not really open to. Data management is like, the people call it like the new oil. Big data, everybody wants to code, learn how to code, everybody wants to develop like an app or plugin that can actually provide solutions to some subsurface problems. It might not necessarily be oil and gas related, it might be mining problems, it might be geotechnical problems. So big data is actually very big, and there are a lot of opportunities in big data. That's the data man, that's where we have the data scientists, we have the engineers, the cloud engineers, the people that code, the people that know how to write some basic coding, that use the coding tools and basic coding programs. So we also have the environmental consulting. These people are the ones that are into, let's say, health, safety, and environment. They do environmental impact assessment. They make sure, and also environmental consulting is actually a very big field in geoscience. There is no company, there is in Nigeria, in the world, that are not conscious of their environment. They want cleaner energy, they want cleaner environment. So I feel like most companies in the world, most good companies in the world are very, very they are very, very key about their environment, about the safety of their workers, about the safety of the environment and all. So environmental consulting is big, it's very big too. And most people can actually divert to environmental consulting. So that's where we have the HSE experts, the people that are into environmental assessment, people that make sure that everything goes well, there's no hazard, there's no risk and everything. So it's actually another hidden gem in geoscience as well. So we also have the hydrogeology and water management. This aspect talks about groundwater, looking for solutions to groundwater. You know, in Nigeria, it might not be that big in Nigeria, but outside the country, it is very big because groundwater is actually some problems of some countries or some companies too. So water too is hydrogeology too is a very good aspect of geoscience, and it is also an hidden gem too. Then we have the geoscience training business. So I would say for starters, you can start with the geoscience training business because as students, you can actually know more than your colleagues, and maybe you've gone for some trainings, and instead of you to give the knowledge for free, you can actually monetize your knowledge. So you can just start by training. You can start small. Maybe you know about some softwares and your colleague don't know about. You know about some basic things in geoscience, and your colleagues, they don't know anything about this. You can monetize it, and by training them, by teaching them. So outside of the outside of the school, it's actually a huge business too in the field. outside school, because most people, when people that are working, they want to know more, they want to acquire more knowledge, they want to be the best in their field, so they have to train. For example, if I'm a geologist, and I'm currently working in an oil and gas company, or I'm working in a mining company, I wouldn't want to just sit down and just be collecting salary. I want to add knowledge to the ones that I know, because the moment you stop learning, I feel like that's when you die. So we learn every day you learn. So it is actually a very big business too. You can train people either for software interpretation, or train people on how to code, or you train people on big data. Maybe you can start with basic Microsoft, maybe Excel. You can train people. So it is huge too. The training business as well, it is actually very huge. Then we have the solid minerals and mining. I think the speaker yesterday spoke about the solid minerals and mining too. You know, this aspect talks about mineral exploration, sales, mineral production, and all. So mining and solid minerals too is also another aspect of geoscience that is also a hidden gem, and people can actually make cool money from. Then we have the geotechnical and engineering consulting. Like what Philip said, all these ones are the ones that talk about soil strength. For example, now I feel like in Nigeria presently, if you want to construct either bridge, or you want to construct roads, you still need geologists or engineering geologists that will look at the place they want to do the construction, and carry out some little analysis, do some soil tests to know the strength of the soil, to know if they can actually do some construction, what they need, if the soil is not strong enough, what they need to put to add, so that they can actually go with the construction. For example, if you want to build like multi-story buildings, maybe like 5 or 10-story buildings, they call on the geotechnicians, right? Or the engineering geologists to come and look at the place, check the soil, do some analysis, do the test, to know if when they erect a foundation, if it's going to be strong, and at the end of the day, there won't be any collapse or anything. So these are, and there are some other aspects, like Philip has said, in geoscience too. So all these are hidden gems. So I feel like you should be able to know other opportunities that are in geoscience, instead of you limiting yourself to maybe oil and gas, or you limiting yourself to maybe mining. There are still other hidden gems that you can actually grow your career. You can start your career with and grow from. Then you can actually transit to another career. That's one thing about geoscience. You can transit from one phase to another, because you already have the basic knowledge. The other thing, the only thing you do is just you improve yourself and add more knowledge and know about the other aspects you want to transit to. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So now I'll now narrow down my presentation to the oil and gas. I told you that that's where I really have like more knowledge about, because that's where I actually started my career. So the oil and gas, I'm just going to talk about the overview of the oil industry. It's actually divided into three. It's divided into three. We have the upstream, we have the midstream, and we have the downstream. So when people say they are working in oil and gas, you have to know whether they are working in the upstream arm, or they are working in the midstream, or they are working in downstream. But any of the stream, there are opportunities in any of the streams. So for the upstream, that's where you do your exploration, that's where you search for oil, that's where you do your little studies to know if there is oil in a particular field or zones or area. Then if there is oil, then you produce, you go ahead with production. So the upstream is all about the exploration and production of hydrocarbon. Then the midstream is all about the pipeline constructions. That's where you do your transportations. Like when you finish producing, you have to lay your pipelines to be able to transport the oil from the field to wherever you want to take it, maybe to the storage room, or to where you want to refine it. So the midstream is all about the laying of pipelines, the transportation, the storage, and also the marketing of the crude oil or refining of the crude oil. Then we have the downstream. So the downstream is all about logistics too as well. When you finish refining or the process of refining some of the petroleum or the hydrocarbons, then you get to sell them to the end user and the end users. That's the marketing and the distribution of petroleum products. So now let's talk about the opportunities in the oil and gas exploration and production, the business opportunities that you can get there. So we have the engineering and facility management services. So as a business consultant, you can actually, there are some companies that are into engineering and facility management. That's what they do. That's the service they provide to maybe producing companies or any companies that need their services. So they basically handles all this facility management, all those laying of pipelines, all those rail, all those barge, all those pipeline rails and facility. That's what they are into. Maybe some of them are procuring some engineering materials. Some of them are, there are some people that are focused on that aspect that provide that kind of solutions to companies. Their own is basically into, okay, that's what they want to do. They want to be a facility manager. They want to provide all these facility management services to E&P companies. We also have the recruitment and manpower supply services. So these are people that they also actually provide some services to the E&P companies. That's the exploration and production. When I say E&P, they are just the E&P companies, exploration and production. So when I say E&P, just go with the flow. That is, it means exploration and production. So recruitment and manpower, what do they do? There are some companies, because of, I feel like every year we have more than 10,000 of graduates that leave Nigerian, finish from Nigerian universities. And to be honest, I feel like in a year, maybe like, let's say roughly 50 people will get employed in the oil and gas industry. And imagine that every year they produce graduates, universities produce graduates every year, and some people, they want to work in the oil and gas sector, you understand? So, and there are some companies, they don't want to go through that stress of maybe sending adverts and telling people to apply for this particular job, because, there's no job, to be honest. The country is really hard and there's no much job because the market is already saturated, you get? So some people don't want to go through that stress of, let me just put an advert out, let's employ engineers, geologists, let's employ this thing. So they don't want to go through that stress because they know that it's actually very rigorous. Because when you put it and place an advert, different people will apply. You have to now start going through CVs and see if you can shortlist some people for interview. From interview, they start shortlist. The process is actually very rigorous, and some companies, they don't like it. So what do? They just give the contract to some business consultants, like people that are into the manpower services. So they just tell them, please, I don't want to go through this stress, but I want you to help me recruit people that are good in seismic interpretation, people that are very good in petrophysics. I want you to help me recruit geologists. I want you to help me recruit sedimentologists, and so on and so on. I don't want to go through that stress, but I can trust you to give me the best of the best people for the job. I can, please hold on. Just 1 minute. Okay, sorry for the breaking transmission. So they don't want to go through that stress and process. So they know that, okay, I can trust you to give me the best candidate for the job. So what do consultants do? I'll be the one to go through that stress of telling you to apply. Yeah, you can apply for the job. I want minimum of 5 years experience. I want minimum of 10 years experience. Then I get my email gets saturated with different applications. That's when you know that there's problem in Nigeria, there's no job. So, and the funny thing is, most of these people are actually competent. They can do it. So what do? We will now have to narrow it down to getting the best of the best, and maybe we'll just reduce the number to, maybe out of like 1,000 or 500 applicants, I can now narrow down to 5 best ones that have handled projects well, that have like little experience in this, then I'll just send them to the company for their final interview. So if they want to choose like 2 or 1 person, it's up to the company. So these are some of the opportunities for consultants too as well. And some companies, they employ them directly, or some companies, they tell you, you really want to pay them salary, you really want to handle their health care, you really want to handle the necessary pension and tax and everything. I don't want to handle this. They can work for me. They can work in, for example, you can work in Chevron, but then again, you are a contract staff. So you have to go through some of those consultants as well. So that's where recruitment and manpower supply services come in for the E&P as well. Sorry. So we have investment support services. These are people that look for investors for the E&P industry. You know, producing oil is not millions of kobo, it's not millions of naira. It takes millions of dollars to start an oil E&P company, to starting from acquiring the assets, to managing the assets, to developing it, to the production level. You spend money. And some people, they don't really, some companies, they actually look out for partners who can support, who can invest. So this is where the investment support services come in for like for the E&P as well. Then we have the feed operations and support service. These are the people that do the feed development plan for E&P companies. So when they get their assets, there are some people that their own major business solution service they render is to provide support, field support. Like that's like the feed development plan, how it's going to be, how the feed is going to work, the number of hydrocarbon reserves, the petroleum economics and everything. There are some people that actually handle that. These are also people that do the consultation in the industry as well. Then we have the software sales and technical support. So because people can't go to the subsurface, you understand, to go down to see whether there's oil, to know the activities that is under it. So it's just the information they get, like when you, from the beginning of you acquiring your data and everything, you have to interpret it so that you know that if this particular well or field, if there's hydrocarbon. So, and there are some softwares that does that. And there are different software, like Dr. Eluwole explained, was it yesterday? Was talking about different softwares for different purposes. We have softwares for seismic interpretation. We have softwares for petrophysics. We have software for sequence stratigraphy and everything. Even there's this software for all those biostratigraphy and all, AVO analysis and everything. So there are some people that actually provide the support of that software. And we have different software like Open Detect, Petrel, Kingdom Suite. We have the Alibotin software as well. All these ones are very good in seismic interpretation. But we also have other softwares that are good in petrophysics, like we have the Geolog, we have the Techlog, we have the interactive petrophysics. All the software, they do the same thing, but some of them have a niche for themselves. Some of them are better than others in the aspect of something, you understand? So for example, you know, people have different software. You want to actually interpret your seismic. Everybody talk about Open Text, everybody talk about the Alibotin software, everybody talk about Kingdom Suite. There are some software that are better in maybe for attribute analysis. There's some software that are better for sequence stratigraphy. So they don't, that's why E&P companies, they don't type themselves to using just one software, because I don't want to waste money. I don't want to interpret something at the end of the day. I will now put my company to now drill that particular field, and they don't get anything. You understand? That's millions of dollars. So I don't want my company to run into debt, and I don't have any Elon Musk in my family. If I do that, they might put me in jail. So I have to use different software to do the interpretation and make sure that I get the accurate results. So there are still some consultants that are into the software sales and support. For example, yesterday when I joined Dr. Eluwole, he said he's the one that is licensed to to, I think, to sell, is it ArcGIS? So that's the software. And what does it do? It's used for map generation, map interpretations and all. So these are different softwares these are different services that you can render or provide to the ERP industry as well. Then we have the integrated subsurface studies. There are some people that are good in interpreting data, analyzing it. Some people are really good at that. So they can render these services to the ERP companies too. I might be very good in advanced seismic interpretation, and I can just write the proposal. I can do this, then I can write the proposal to any company, and they will go through my proposal. If I can actually identify the problem a company is facing, I can actually prefer a solution and also help them to interpret whatever problems they have. Then we have the equipment and material supply. That's the PPE. You know, all these services, when people that go to field, they don't just go ordinarily, they have to be protected because safety comes first. Because safety comes first. So some people are there to provide these head-to-toe equipment for their protection. That's the head art, then the overall, and everything, just to make sure that they are safe from harm and dangers. So there's some, you can have a product that can supply helmets for protection or supply safety boots. You can just write a proposal to this company as an entrepreneur, right? I just write a proposal to these companies that, oh, I can provide this particular equipment for you, this particular materials for you, and this is what it does. It helps you to protect this. And if they see that, okay, this is what they need at that particular time, they can ask for your services and you can render it. So let's talk about the major activities. I've talked about the E&P, the overview of the E&P. Now let me just dive into the upstream because I'm more familiar with the upstream of the oil and gas. So for upstream operations is divided into 5 phases. We have the exploration phase. That's where you do your mapping. So somebody asked about mapping. Mapping is actually very important too. You can learn how to map and you can be able to actually provide solutions to some of these companies. So the exploration phase, that's where you have your geological mapping, you have your survey, you have to acquire your seismic data, your 2D or your 3D seismic data, you have to acquire them. You have to start with the processing, then do some interpretation as well, and also go with maybe like the drilling, and also you can also supply PPE at this phase as well. Then we have the appraisal stage. What do? The appraisal stage is when they can draw appraisal well to know what is actually inside the subsurface, to actually have small information about the subsurface. So yeah, if the information that you acquire in the first data, if you are not satisfied with it, you can actually draw another appraisal well, and that well you can actually interpret some other data and you can get your results. Then the third phase, we have the development phase. What do they do in development phase? After you interpreted your well, you can actually development, so they can actually acquire more data. You can actually reprocess, and you can now, that's when you think of your field development plan. You actually think of the plan to maybe after you've you know the reserves that are there, you cannot develop the plan to maybe you want to extract it out, you want to bring it out, you sit down and discuss the petroleum economics to know if the volume is enough for you, if you can go ahead with the volume and start producing. You understand? That's when you talk about the facilities that you need to put in place, talk about the operations that you need to put in place, the testing and every other thing. Then we have the production phase. After you've done this 1, 2, 3, you can't skip one of this phase and go to another one. You have to follow them thoroughly. So you go to the production phase. After you've done all your acquisition, your processing, your interpretation, then some little facilities here and there, you've constructed them, then you can now think of extracting your hydrocarbon from the field. So you can think of using like a secondary method. That's where you can now do injection, like can inject some other mud to the field, and actually you can do an injection well and actually extract your hydrocarbon as well. Then you can do your, maybe you want to recover and everything, but the phase is you bringing out your hydrocarbons from the subsurface. That's the production phase. That's where all these phases, geoscientists are relevant. All these phases, you need a geophysicist, you need a geologist, you need an environmental scientist. That's another aspect. You need like an engineer. So all these phases, you need geoscientists for this. Then the fifth stage is when you abandon the well. After you've produced and you've made a lot of money, and you feel like for the start, maybe you are producing 10,000 barrels per day, and after like 4 years or 5 years, you realize that you're no longer producing up to 10,000. Maybe you're producing like 2,000 barrels. So you know that, okay, let me just let this field breathe. That's when you now like abandon it to its original and leave it to its original state, because the earth is constantly changing. It's not like the oil will be finished, so you just have to abandon it and also go let it breathe, so that they can actually, after like period of years, can actually still get more oil. So I feel like those are the activities that they do in a nutshell in the upstream aspect of the oil and gas. So now, how do you become a successful business consultant in geoscience? So you already know what the business is all about. You know different fields, you know different careers, career pathways that you can have in geosciences. So what steps can you take to be successful? First, you have to desire it. You have to know what you want. Do I want to be a geologist? Do I want to be an HSC person? Do I want to be a geophysicist? Do I want to be? You have to desire it. You have to know that this is what I want for myself. Desire it, have that passion for it. Once you desire it, then you have to develop yourself. So now if I said, okay, I want to be a geoscientist, I want to be a geologist, or I want to go into data, big data. What do? I can't just be shouting that I have passion for big data, I have passion for big data, and I don't develop myself. It's not going to work that way. So you have to develop yourself in that aspect. If it's big data, you have to learn how to code. I feel like it's not everybody that needs to learn how to code. There are other business analytics. You don't need how to code. You don't need to know how to code, but there are some that you actually need to know how to code. So you develop yourself, you go for the proper training. If you like petrophysics, you have to go for the proper training. You have to expose yourself to software applications, because to be honest, if you want to, for the oil and, for example, in oil and gas, if you want to cross from school to the oil and gas, it is not automatic. You have to do something in between. You can't bring your school knowledge into the oil and gas. You have to though the theoretical aspect is important, you have to acquire some soft skills. Know how to use Microsoft Office very well. You have to know how to use some basic softwares. Now, if you want to be a petrophysicist, or you want to be a seismic interpreter or geologist or anyone, you have to know some softwares that they use in this particular field. And if you cannot learn all the softwares, you can learn one. And let me tell you one thing about softwares. If it either is for either you want to learn software for example, let's say seismic interpretation, it is still the same workflow. It's just that the software brands are just different. For seismic interpretation, it's the same workflow. So you don't have to say, I want to know. Yes, it's good to always say you want to know this software, you want to know that software, you want to know this, but it's the same workflow. So when you're familiar with one particular software, to be able to know another software will not be very difficult, because once you know that this is the workflow, this is how what I need to do, then you can apply these principles to other software as well. So you have to develop yourself in the area that you desire to be, area that you feel like, okay, this is the niche I want to have for myself. Then the next thing is you take actions. So what action do you need to put in place after you've developed yourself? You know, you can't just be an entrepreneur like that. Sometimes you can actually learn, you have to learn, like work in an environment, know how the business is all about. you take action. After you developed yourself, you take action. That's when you start applying for jobs, apply for internships. There are sometimes you don't get jobs, but you can start with internship. There are some companies, they don't even pay you to be an intern. But because you know you want to gather little experience, you have to just say, okay, I wouldn't mind if they don't pay me, I will stay. I want to learn, I want to know how the oil and gas is. And that's most of the time when people do voluntary internship, their eyes are always open to what is happening in the oil and gas. And they can actually get opportunities and get into oil and gas or whichever geoscience field that you want. So you should learn how to be able to take action, like submit your CVs. Like for example, if you submitted your CVs and probably you're not getting maybe like letters to come and do interview, sometimes you can just decide to write the paper, present at conferences when people know you that, okay, this person presented about this. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, ma.
Okay. So if you see that, okay, I've applied to companies and they've not called you, you can start with poster presentations. Maybe when you go for these conferences like NAPE, NMGS, try and present. Present, it can be your project, it can be any topic that you feel like you're interested in. Just put yourself out there. Just take actions. You understand? So other things, like I've said, you have to develop your technical skill. You have to know it. If you want to be a geologist, you have to know the basic. You have to have the basic foundation of geology. You have to know what it entails. You have to, like, technically, for example, if I want to be a petrophysicist, after I've learned geophysics in school, what do I need to do? I have to go and learn the software. I have to know how to interpret. So that's how you develop your technical skills. You sharpen your technical mind so that at the end of the day, you know what you are saying. Even if you want to now stand alone as a consultant, you already have the technical know-how. Not that you start looking when they're talking about net zero, or you start looking when they start talking about petrophysics, water saturation, or net to gross, or you understand, because you have sharpened your technical skills, you can be able to interact with people that like minds, people that are already in the field. You have to also invest in your personal development. Like I said, still the same thing. Train your communication skills. Some of you are timid. Some people are timid. I don't know what you are scared of. Averagely, the highest thing is they will tell you, people that told you no today, they will tell, when you develop yourself, well, they might tell you yes tomorrow. It has happened. You understand? And it's still happening. So people don't feel bad when you submit different applications, you submit different proposals, and they don't respond to you. While you are waiting for the response, or while your response is being rejected, you can still develop yourself more. Know why you didn't get this thing, know why this thing did not work out for you. Then you develop yourself from there and say, okay, yes, since this is what I need to put in place, this is what I need to do so that I can be able to get this in the so that I can be able to get this the next time that I apply or try. Also, your communication skills, know how to talk to people, know how to engage in conversations, know how to hold conversations. Some people don't know how to hold conversations. Some people are just too shy. Some people, they feel like they are scared. I don't know what you're scared of. You can walk up to anybody. We are all humans, and there's blood running through everybody's vein. Nobody is there's no almighty in anywhere. You understand? Walk up to people, greet them, and you can start learning how to communicate with people. You can start with your peers, then you graduate from your peers to your mentors.
So please, let's unmute our mic. Sorry, let me try and unmute the person. Okay, you can continue, ma.
Can I continue?
Yeah, you can continue, ma.
So you have to develop your communication skills, know how to talk to people, know how to walk up to people. You understand? Nobody, if you walk up to anybody, it might not be physically. You might go through LinkedIn and see some people that you feel like, oh, I want this person to actually mentor me or something. You can walk up to them, you can write them a mail, you can drop a message to them on maybe through their inbox on their mail. just try and establish a communication. Even if you go for conferences and you see MDs or GMs or people that are in the field that are higher than you are, you can walk up to them and you develop a relationship. So you have to work on your communication skills as well, if you want to be a successful business consultant. So this aspect too is for, let's say, you're working in a company and probably you're working as a business consultant, or you have your own company. You must develop your business and contract negotiation skills. You must understand the dynamics of maybe a contract. You must be able to close a contract. You must be able to know that you have to keep negotiation professional. For example, if you are bidding for a job, or probably you want to provide a solution or a service for a company, or you want to render a service to any company, you have to know the price range that you can actually bid for. You might, for example, you can't bid for something that is worth $100,000 and you're not bidding, you're not using $1.1 million when there are a lot of other people. So I want you to know that you're not the only one providing services. So you have to carve a niche for yourself. You're not the only one providing a particular service. You understand? So you have to also know how to develop your negotiation skills. Sharpen your mind. Know what the demand is. Know how to go about it. Know how to talk to people. You understand? You have to keep negotiation professional, and you must know how to bid for jobs. That's for people that wants to do that want to be a business consultant. You must know how to bid for something so that at the end of the day you win it. Imagine if there are like 100 people that are bidding for one particular contract, or 100 people bidding for one particular field. What will make you stand out is when you do your things, you thoroughly do your technical proposal well, and your commercial too. You shouldn't be too expensive, and you should not downgrade yourself too. So you should know that you should be within the range. So you have to, and these things can be learned on the job. You understand? You cannot learn it. Maybe you want to start taking courses on it. No, you have to learn all these things on the job. So you have to be open to new ideas and innovations in your field, like what Mr. Who said it? I think Philip said that now people are going into big data, people are going into data science, coding and all. You have to be open. Don't be an analog person. Don't be an analog person. The world had advanced from you interpreting your data with biro and paper to using computer. Even now, from now, little computer knowledge, it has advanced to artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the job that you're supposed to use 5 months to do, you can, for AI, you can do it within 10-50 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Something that is supposed to take you like 5 months. So it will, and when people say because of all these machine learning, jobs are reduced, who are the ones operating it? Humans are behind it. So you have to, the way the world is advancing, you have to advance with the world, so that when there are opportunities knocking, you are already strategically positioned for that opportunity. So you have to be open to new ideas, learn. You have a lot of learning, unlearning, and relearning to do in your field. Then partnership. If you know how to render a service and you don't know how to go about it, you can partner with people that are already in it. Partnership is really important, and I feel like we need to emphasize on partnership. You can't do it all by yourself. People need to learn that you can't do all these things all by yourself. You have to learn how to partner with people. You can have the technical know-how, and the other person might have the platform. You understand? That's where partnership comes in place. A lot of young Nigerians, even outside geoscience world, they are doing big in fintech. Tech is now like people say tech is the new oil, and that's the truth. There's some money that you make in tech. In 5 years in geoscience, you might not make it. You get what I mean? So why are they making so much money, especially fintech like now? Why are they making so much money? It's because they are open to partnership. don't be too rigid that it is my idea, it is my innovation. I don't want to let it go. No, you have to be able to, because the one you that have the idea to come up with this one, you will have other ideas too. That's where all these Paystack, they can sell their companies and get billions of dollars. That's where all these fintechs are making big money. Why? Because they are open to partnership. So don't be a lone wolf in your career, in your field. Learn to partner with people. Learn to come on. You can start from school too. You can choose some friends that you people have like minds together, because you can have the technical know-how. The other person can be good with people, can know how to communicate with people, have relationship with people. The other person can know how to strategize and plan something well. So you can partner with people to create a common goal. So partnership can never be overemphasized. It is very good to partner with people. Then for people that want to start their own, maybe like businesses, or want to stay on their own, you have to first of all do some certain things, get your necessary permits and licenses for the field you want to start. For example, if you want to start your maybe oil and gas or mining or anything, you know that the first thing you do is to register your company. You don't want to start your business and don't register your company and you are known and somebody now steal your name, and maybe you now want to register your business, then that's that name is already existing. You know that it's already conflict of interest when people have already known you for these particular services. So you have to first of all register your company, and whatever business you want to do, you have to do the research and know that the necessary permits that you need or licenses, so that you'll be able to carry out the business or provide the solution or services you want to render to all these companies. Then you have to join professional organizations. That one, it's very key. Very key, very, very key. I feel like the reason why people, don't let me just say it the way it is, but I feel like the reason why some people that are very intelligent in school, maybe you people, you are in school together, and some people that maybe they are always the top of the best in class. Some of them might not even get opportunities to work or any opportunity to work in big companies, maybe oil and gas companies, and no. And difference is clear because they are not exposed. And when you join professional organizations, it opens you to exposure, opens you to knowing people in your relevant to your field, knowing people in your field, interacting with people, you understand, knowing what it entails to be in that field. So there are a lot of organizations that you can join, like NAPE, SEG, EAG, AAPG, all these associations are geoscience associations. Some of them organize technical sessions, some of them organize online webinars, some of them have this interactive meet and greet where you meet people that are higher than you in your profession, where you get to talk to them, you get to communicate with them. And another thing is be mentored. You understand? You have to have a mentor in your field. No matter how intelligent you are, you need somebody that will still put you through. For example, if you want to be the best in geophysics, if you want to be the best paleontologist and all, you have to have a mentor that is already in that field, that can tell you, oh, this is how you do it, this is how you go about it, that will advise you, that will coach you in your career, that will coach you, that will tell you, okay, this is the first step you need to take when you want to start your career. So you have to be mentored, and also make sure you are part of these organizations. How do you be a part? It's not like, it's not for you to just go for these conferences, go eat and come back. No, you can start by volunteering. You can volunteer for things that they might not even pay you for. You can just tell them you want to volunteer. Volunteering helps a lot. It has helped like a lot of people here. It has helped a lot of people, and me as a person, I people that I know, the network I have in the industry is as a result of those professional organizations and me volunteering, because I get to know more people. I like to meet people. That's me. I like to meet people. So you have to like volunteer, join these organizations, not just to be eating their rice. When I was a student, to be honest with you, anytime I go for this technical meeting, is for me to go and be eating buffet. That's like when I do as a student, then maybe on the level, 200 level, then when I go. But later, my view changed. I started because I have people that I go with that all our aims is to just collect souvenirs, collect barrel, collect bags, do this. Then I have to sit down and evaluate myself that in the next 5 years, if I want to be in this same space and people that I admire, there are some steps that I need to take.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I know that there are some steps that I need to take. Hello?
Okay, you can continue, ma. You can continue.
Okay. So I know that there are some steps that I need to take if I want to be in this space. So I shouldn't go and eat my future away. In the next 5 years, I start submitting CVs and say, I want to start looking for job. So if I don't get the job in the field I want, I will not say that, okay, let me just do bank job. You understand? So I have to, yeah, there are some steps and approach that I have to put, like conscious efforts that I have to put in place so that my next 5 years, by the time I finish school, I will not start looking for job, which all these steps, I took them and it really worked for me. You understand? It really worked for me. So be a part of an organization, volunteer. If you're not an executive, volunteer to be part of what they are doing and get to know people. Then you need to market yourself. Even if you go for interview, the first thing is tell me about yourself. So what do you want to tell them about yourself? This is my favorite food. These are my hobbies. No, you have to market yourself in the aspect of the field you want to grow, the field that you have chosen. So you have to market yourself. You put yourself out there. Look for strategies. Like for example, if you are an entrepreneur, like you want to have your own business, you have to be out there. When you go for conferences, you share ideas, share your cards, and tell people about your services. Discuss with people. If you work for an organization, you have to help them market the organization that you work for. If you are looking for a job, you market yourself as a person. If you are good at coding and you know that, okay, there's something that you want to develop, maybe you're like an app or like a plugin or code that you know that this thing can actually help you to predict logs. Because I know that there are some people that have used Python to predict logs and they were paid in dollars. So, and there are people that are really close to me. So they were able to predict a log in the subsurface because they were having problems with that particular field and they were not getting, I feel like the field they were not really getting enough information about the field. And going for exploration and acquiring data is just more money. So when you have something that instead of me to go to the field and now start acquiring data, then you go through the process of processing it. If I as an AI, I can help you predict some of these basic logs and you get the same results. Why can't I do it? So those people, they help this company to predict those logs. And when they did the interpretation, they found out that it was accurate and they were paid. So you have to, if they don't market themselves, despite the fact that they have the technical know-how, nobody will know what they can do. Nobody will know what they have to offer. So you have to develop that strategies to market yourself. So then other skills that you need, other skill set that you need is you have to have the analytical skills. You have to know how to think well. You have to know how to use data to solve problems. You have to know how to solve, you have to be able to think fast because there are some of your job has to do with a lot of thinking. So you have to be able to think fast and predict some basic things that will help you to solve your problems. You have to also be detail oriented. You have to be thorough with what you are doing. In anything you want to do, you have to give it your best. You have to do it well. What is worth doing is what doing well. What is the adage, what is worth doing is worth doing well. So you have to do it very well. Be detailed about it, be thorough about it. Then use technology. The world is advancing. Be familiar with softwares. You don't come and start telling me fault is this, fault is that, when you can use softwares to predict fault in a particular field.
Hello, ma.
Know your software, basic G&G as a geoscientist. Know your basic G&G software before you even apply for job.
Hello, ma.
Hello?
Yeah, I was like trying to say we have like 3 more minutes.
Okay, I'm almost done.
All right,
So
thank you.
you have to have like your basic, you have to know use your software very well. You understand? You have to know how to use basic J&G software before you start applying for job. Because now if you can't just put your CV blankly like that. So there are some computer programs that you have to learn how to use and softwares. Then effective communication, like I said, you have to know how to talk to people, you have to know how to pass information, you have to know how to communicate information effectively. So case study is just about my journey from school to how I found myself in the oil and gas. I didn't just automatically disappear into oil and gas. So there were some processes when I finished school. As a matter of fact, I finished from ICSU as well. I wasn't even finding geology funny because I really didn't, that was not the course that I wanted to do. I really didn't like the course. And there's some particular people that didn't even make the course interesting for me when I was in school. But then again, I got exposed to attending conferences and I started liking my course. As a matter of fact, I now fell in love with the course itself. So I started attending conferences, then and I started volunteering too. Then I volunteer as probably I think I started as an usher that particular year. I think my part 3 or 4. Then I met people. Then I had mentors who were able to lead me in the oil and gas sector. This is how it is. They helped me with my project. They helped me with softwares and everything. So from there, I met people that are well known in the industry. I think that was where I met my MD. And after school, before I went for NYSC, because I like to volunteer a lot, and I like to communicate well with people. I know I'm very good when it comes to people. So I was called that, oh, have you gone for service? I was like, no, I haven't gone for service. I was like, okay, can you just come and do internship in my company? Which I went, that was before my service year. Then I went for service and I got back and I was retained. That was when I started my oil and gas journey. Then I started with the technical aspect of the business. Later, I got bored. I said, I like to meet people. I like to put myself out there. But this technical know-how, I know how to do that. I know how to interpret softwares. I know how to analyze and do everything. But I just want to be out there. I want to know people, more people. I want to experience the business of the industry. Then I moved from being technical to business development. That's where I started like knowing people, acquiring more knowledge, know how to do bids, know how to do contract negotiations and all. Then I just put myself out there and I'm still learning. I'm still in the field. I'm still learning and I've not stopped learning. So that was how that was how my journey from school started and I got into the industry. So conclusion, so as a business consultant in geoscience, you can operate both in public and private sectors. So you can work in a government-owned companies and you can work in a private-owned companies. And both technical skills, like I said, soft skills and hard skills are needed to be successful. Like to be a successful business consultant, you have to know it. You have to know the technical work. You have to know how to use softwares. So you have to know how to do the work. So it is very key and vital. Then, every problem is a gift. Without problems, we will not grow. So we business consultants, we like to give solutions to problems in the oil and gas industry and any industry that we find ourselves, we like to actually offer solutions to any problems. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Wow. Yeah, for me, I've learned a lot. I don't know about you guys. Just drop it in the comment box how you've learned a lot. Tell me what you've learned in this section. I want to hear from you people. We have 15 people. So I want to hear from you, or what have you learned during this section? The chat box is open for us to do that. So for me, I've learned a whole lot that it's beyond just geosciences itself. I can become a business consultant for a particular company and also make money from it. And also I have also learned how the upstream the midstream and the downstream. And that is very important. So my own question is, I want to know, what is offshore and onshore?
Offshore is water now, marine environment.
Okay.
The difference is just land and marine. So the offshore is the marine environment, then the onshore is just the swampy and land environment.
Okay. So peradventure you have any questions for her, please feel free to raise up your hand so that I can allow you to speak.
Okay.
All right.
Good afternoon, ma. Thank you so much for your advice. I'd just like to, I actually plan on going into this software interpretation and stuff, and I'd just like to verify what you think the first thing I should learn, or the first software that you think I should learn, or first interpretation I should learn as a fresh geologist that just graduated now.
Okay, so it depends on which area you want to which area you want to specialize on. For example, if you want, because there are a lot of softwares for different purposes in the oil and gas industry. So for example, if you want to be very good at interpreting seismic data, or if you want to be very good at petrophysics, there are different softwares for that. But for geoscience, I feel like for geoscience, if you are just coming out of the school, the major software, the basic, not major, the basic softwares that you can learn is for seismic interpretation and G&G. So you can actually, for seismic, you can actually learn either Petrel or Open Detect, and for petrophysics, you can learn Geolog or Techlog. So these are the basic software that you can learn if you want to actually start your career.
Ma, you said geolog or?
Geolog or Techlog.
Techlog, okay. Thank you, ma.
All right. Are there any other questions for the speakers? Are there any other questions?
Ma, for the learning of these softwares, are there like places you can suggest, like online classes or people you can
Yeah, okay. There are a lot of companies that are into software training. You understand? But for the company I work with, they also do trainings for young professionals that wants to bridge the gap between the school and the industry. So I currently work for Danby Petroleum, and they do these software trainings for young graduates, students, and people that just want to bridge, young professionals that want to bridge the gap between the school and the industry.
All right. So thank you very much, Miss Modupe. I really want to appreciate your time that you spent with us, and I'm happy that we have alumni from our school actually speaking to us. So for us to continue this section in the next 5 minutes, I want to create another breakout section for the people remaining on this chat box so that you can have interaction. So we still have our first speaker, Imoleayo Fashagba, and Modupe Esther. So I'll be creating a breakout room where one of these speakers will be in each room. So feel free to ask them questions. We just have less than 5 minutes. Then after that, we come to the close of this event. So give me a minute while I fix that.
Okay, sorry, I saw, okay, don't worry. Ogudeju Victoria, just get my email address or contact from Tolu.
Okay. All right, so we're doing that now. Okay, I'm coming. Right. Please, I'm coming. Give me some time. Let me quickly do this. Okay. And yeah, all right. So we are good now, and we can actually do it. Okay, so let's feel free to ask questions, please. I'll be in all breakout rooms, so we can actually hear your questions. We just have less than, just bombard them with any questions. I guess they can actually take it. Am I right, ma? So bombard
No.
them. Okay, ma. So okay, anything related to I think the business consultancy area in geoscience, you feel free to ask her, please.
Someone just graduating from geoscience or geology or geophysics to actually go and enroll in this training, or the person should just try his best and into grad school outside Nigeria?
So, I mean, it depends on. So, are you looking forward to pursue oil and gas? Is this what you really want?
I don't. To be honest, I've not really made a choice yet.
Okay.
I've not really made a choice yet.
Because
But,
just like, okay.
I've attended conferences. I've attended NMJS conferences. I've attended NAPE, SP. I'm a member of all these associations. So I'm just still.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm still considering a lot. So, but I really love mapping, like interpretation of map. I really love it so much. So
I feel like there's nothing, okay, it depends on your career, but mapping has to come with everything together. So you can't put maps
okay.
separately. You understand? You can't
Okay.
separate map from it. It's still with it. You understand? And if you like map as a person, you can actually start with doing your map business if you're really good at all these maps, topographical maps, geology maps, and everything. You can actually start with maybe this basic software that they use to generate map. You can start by you can have your map company. The only thing you can just do is, okay, you want to start your map and everything, you can sell it to people, you can let them know about it and all. But for your career growth, don't just limit yourself to map alone. Take away limitations, absorb every knowledge that you can get.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome.
So ma, can I reach out to you if I have some stuff to say or question to ask for?
No problem. No problem. No problem.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'll drop our contact for you on the chat box, or you can chat me up. I'll give you our contact.
All right. Thank you.
So are there any other person that are ready to ask a question? I'm in this room currently, so I want to make sure everybody, because in the other room right now, they are asking questions, bombarding the speaker. So please ask questions, please. It's necessary. So I think I basically grouped this room into different sections. So everyone that is here are females in this room, except for me. So, and in the other room, we have more males. So you can feel free to ask her your questions. This is like a female room and we have a male room. So
Don't do that.
no, I'm still going to.
Yeah, being a sexist now.
I'm
You don't know females are the one dominating the oil and gas now.
Yeah, I
There's
actually
already gender inclusion now. People are now fighting for gender inclusion in the oil and gas industry.
Okay,
so as women, even when how many females are there in your department?
I think we have more females though. We have more females.
Wow, interesting. When I was in school, we only 5. Then we're only 5 in school, but now, and I can tell you that my set, we were like 80 something in my set, and for my set, I'm the only person working in the oil and gas industry. And it's not like even the best person in my set is now like a police officer.
Wow.
That's Nigeria for you, right? So, and I'm the only, even myself, I'm the only one that likes to go for conferences. So sometimes some people they'll see, yeah, this person likes to go for conferences. Probably this person is not serious. That's why I said that limiting yourself to the four walls of university, there's life after university.
Yeah.
That's when the real life will dawn on you. So as many contacts that you can get, as many connections that you can connect with while in school, please do so. Someone that finished from your school, that did internship with my company, Opeyemi,
Yeah.
he got an opportunity from a staff in my company. Now he's already working in the oil and gas. I think his name is Opeyemi. I don't know. I think
Folorunsho, yeah.
yes, he's working with Verity Joe, and it was through a friend of mine that just recommended him for the job. Imagine if he didn't come for any internship or if he has not exposed himself to internship opportunities. You can see that he wouldn't even have access to that information or know people that have access to the information. The information's flying around. You have to actually strategically position yourself to have access to those informations. Most companies, they don't put adverts that they are looking for geoscientists. They are looking for, and the annoying thing is nobody wants to employ people that does not have experience. And it's annoying because you see some role, even if they will advertise, you see from 10 years above. So people that live in school, how do they get this experience? How do they enter into the labor market? How do they position themselves into this geoscience field without experience? That's why there are now transition schools. So what does this transition schools, what do? They help you bridge the gap between what you are taught in school.
Difficult to get data. If it's difficult to get data in Nigeria, I would just suggest that, for example, Equinor has an open source data where they put data outside. Some other countries to do that. Norwegian government have data. You can just, I'll suggest you get data from other countries and use that to practice. Many of them share the same, almost the same kind of Bayesian morphology, compared to characteristics. So you can also look for those peculiar regions that are similar to our own, and even regions that are not similar, maybe regions where they have slightly different characteristics or totally different. It could be a way to learn also. And I also recommend there's something called virtual seismic atlas. In fact, you can even learn from that one first before even going on software. If you go to virtual seismic atlas, you will see a lot of seismic images. First, you can learn by that, like there will be seismic images, they've interpreted them. But you can first look at it with that interpretation. Try your
petroleum. I feel like Imperial College, they are doing something in machine artificial petroleum something. I've forgotten the title, the course they are now offering. Data science for petroleum, yes. It's data science for petroleum. So that's the advice I would give my younger self if I was in this position, to go with the flow, with the new energies, with the new innovations, to go with it. That's the advice I would give myself if I was in that position. So there's no knowledge that is lost. Geoscience is big. The opportunities are huge. So no knowledge lost, but make sure you strategically position yourself. If you're not too young to be earning thousands of dollars in a month, as a business consultant, last year I worked remotely and I earned dollars in dollars just to consult for some companies, and not just small dollars, just hundreds of thousands of dollars while I was in Nigeria. So I was working from home. And make use of LinkedIn. Some of you are not even in official social media platforms. Put yourself out there. Write something on LinkedIn. Let people talk about. Write something on LinkedIn. Let people react to. connect with people on LinkedIn, get more information on LinkedIn. The sky is just the starting point, though. Don't limit yourself to the oil and gas industry, because there are other opportunities aside from the oil and gas industry. So that's just it.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Oh, I didn't know my video is not on.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Now I want to actually switch us again to a different room. So
Okay.
people that are in this room now, we get to enjoy people in the other room. So I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
Please give me a minute while I tell the other room to so that they can get notified. Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'll be switching you to the other room. So before we come to the end of this program, so people in this room will actually go to the other room, and the people in the other room comes here. So give me a minute while I'll do that.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just wait to switch off.
Okay, so we have Miss Modupe in our room right now. So feel free. She's here with us. So I'll be leaving the air and going to the other room. So sir, you have the floor for these people. Ma, you have the floor for these people here. So please feel free to ask her your questions that you were intending to ask her. Thank you very much. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so we have another speaker in this place. So feel free to ask him your questions and maybe bombard him with questions for the next 2 minutes. So I have actually extended the speaker so you can actually have time to speak with them. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One thing that I'm actually curious about is when you were explaining and displaying the PowerPoint.
Yes.
You know, when it was showing like all those arrows.
To let it all out works.
No, it is you, Joe. I wouldn't say you should not, you understand? I wouldn't say you should not dive into it, because if for now in Nigeria, if the demand is not high with time, you should just position yourself for, I tell people, just position yourself for international markets. Okay, so there was this friend of mine that he presented in NAPE, was it 3 years ago? So he used electromagnetism to present a paper on I've forgotten the way the title of that paper. So he just the way the presentation was is they use the electromagnetism method to be able to predict hydrocarbons, because you know there are some minerals that are electromagnetic, you understand? So there's a way he presented that paper, and people that were there were like people in Shell, Chevron, and everything. And he's my very good friend. And as at the time he presented that paper, he was doing his PhD in Imperial College as at that time. So they started watching him and they were like, they like his presentation. How do they implement it in Nigeria? Yeah. And it was like, so there was this particular man that worked in Shell at the time. So he worked in Shell at the time. It was like, if Shell could actually give him a job, would he come to Nigeria for the job? And it was like, depends on the offer he has. Now he's trying to, what's the guy trying to do? He's my friend now. He's now trying to build like an app that can use an app that can use electromagnetism to predict hydrocarbon. He has finished his PhD in Imperial College now. He's now working in CCG in UK. He's not working in Nigeria, in UK. Last time we spoke, he said he's trying to use data analysis and AI and electromagnetism to predict the subsurface and also predict hydrocarbon. So you don't need to do a lot of plenty research and everything. So this method is actually very friendly when it comes to the
Hello? Can anyone hear me? Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What's the problem? I hope no problem. I noticed the speaker is no more here again.
Okay, he said that he has a meeting by 3. I mean by 4 that he has to leave, and we didn't have any more questions.
Okay, so I'm moving you all back to the main section now. Just give me a while.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. And welcome back, everybody. I really appreciate those that have stayed with us to the very end, right from yesterday down to today. At least we have spent close to, let me say, almost 4 hours in this section. And I must say, if you really enjoyed this, let me just tell me in the chat box. If you know it was very informative, you learned a lot, and you jotted down things, please let me know. Let me see it in the chat box. So if you jotted things down and you gained a lot, let me hear yes in the chat box. Okay. All right, so I will await. Okay. Someone has a long question, and I didn't need that to be the best. Okay. All right. I'm really happy you gained a lot. Now one thing I want to actually tell people on this chat box. For those that might not know me, my name is Olarewaju Tolu, and I am the current SCG president for Ekiti State University. And the full meaning of SCG is Society of Exploration Geophysics. So basically what we do is we connect people to the geoscience world, and we allow opportunities. There are various opportunities in joining SCG. So, and I would say most people feel like probably I'm in my 400 level. I'm currently in my 200 level, and I'm studying applied geophysics. So I will want us, there'll be, for those that are still undergraduate in this chat box, and you like you want to be mentored by any of the speakers, you can send an email to SEG. I'm dropping it in the chat box now. Okay, so you can use that email and drop a message for us if you'd like to be mentored, so we can actually speak to them and know if they would agree to that. So, and on this note, I want to appreciate everyone. So I'm actually waiting because I actually mentioned in the mail that some people will be going on with a particular gift. So I'll be randomly selecting people on this our chat box. And though we have done a brief research on almost everybody here, and I should go with Maduka Manasseh. That's number 1. And I'll go with Abdul Rashid Jamil. Then Banjo Oshini Oluwanifemi. So the 3 of you, you can actually reach out to me on this number 081 57213381 for your gift. So you can reach out to me on this number for your gift. I really want to appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming around. So on this note, someone asked, how can I join SEG? You can also reach out to me on this number. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Olarewaju Toluwanimi Peter on LinkedIn, and I'll give you more response to that. So reach out to me for more information about that. Okay, so I'm going to type my contact again for those that, so let me send it to everyone. I think I sent it to just one person. So, okay, 57213381. And the name is Olarewaju. Okay, Olarewaju. Coming while I type this out. So that's my name on everyone's chat box. So please don't forget, you have those that have mentioned their name, please try and reach out to me by today so that you can get something for us. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining this career prospect for undergraduate in geoscience. Use the hashtag, please. And you can go on all social media handles, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and actually use the hashtag CPUIG 2022 and hashtag SegExu. So for more of this. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. See you another meeting time where we'll be organizing for you. Take care of yourself. You can unmute yourself so we have a talk and just tell me bye. So I think I can unmute you all.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of all the students,
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. And have a nice day.
Yes, sir.